Matter of Kaiser versus Hunter.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Kaiser, according to your complaint, while you were in a relationship with the defendant, you made a loan to him, a couple of $100s.
Yes.
When did you make him this loan and what for?
On January 30th, I received my income tax return. And he was at my house. He had gotten kicked out of his residential drug facility. And after a week of being at my house, he had the option from his parole officer to either go back to the treatment facility or go into clean and sober living. And so he asked me to borrow the $200.
Well, what's the difference between a drug program and the clean and sober living?
He had more freedom in Pancho Villa than he would in the residential treatment facility.
What were you on parole for?
Residential burglary.
What was the condition of your parole?
But I'd have to say in either a residential treatment program or a sober living home.
So why didn't you stay in the residential drug program?
Because I got kicked out of the residential
Why?
program. For sneaking out to see her.
And for drinking. Don't let him tell you that. It's for drinking also.
No, Your Honor. That's a lie right there. You can call the program and ask. No, I've never given a dirty test since I've been out of prison.
They don't give urine tests for alcohol.
Yes, they do, ma'am. You can call my parole officer and ask him. I cannot drink or be around alcohol, and they test me for alcohol at the parole office and at the program.
Mike, that's why you were drunk at my house moving me.
Okay, did she give you $200?
Yes, Your Honor. She offered me $200.
Okay, tell me about the $200. You
She
wanted to go
offered-
into this.
Offered? I have 2 kids.
Listen to me. When I look in your direction, that's when you talk.
All right.
And I'm looking at his direction. Now tell me under what circumstances you say she gave you the $200.
She gave me the $200 knowing that I just got out of prison.
Don't tell me what knowing. I don't want to hear knowing.
Okay,
What did you say to her? What did she say to you? You said to her, I need $200 in order to go into this other program, and I don't have it.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. And she said to you,
She said to me that you can borrow the $200, but I would have to help her pay it back. She knew that I did not have a job.
she just don't tell me what she knew.
Okay.
She said you would help her pay it back. Pay it back to whom?
Pay it back to her.
All right, let's make this simple, Mr. Hunter. She said that you could borrow the money, but that you would have to pay it back.
Most definitely.
Am I looking in your direction?
If you
Am I
would
looking in your direction?
No.
Don't speak unless I look in your direction. She said you could borrow the money,
Correct.
and you would have to pay it back.
Not correct.
That's what you just told me.
I have to pay it back, but not in cash. I was to help her move, watch her kids, pick her kids up at school several times, which I did, take her friend, which is over there to Fairfield, to see a friend of hers that's in the county jail, fix her car, and that pretty much cleared up all the money issue.
When did you help her move?
I forget the exact date that she moved. You remember the exact date?
No, don't ask her any questions.
Okay.
If I want to know from her, I'd ask her.
I forget the exact date.
Before or
that she
after
moved.
she gave you the $200?
This was before she moved.
Just a second. Listen to me very carefully, because I know that you have a little trouble understanding, sir. Did you help her move before or after she gave you the $200?
I just answered your question the same way.
That she
Yes.
moved before.
She gave me the money before I helped her move. That's exactly what I said. She gave me the money, and then I helped her move.
When did you go into this new program?
After she moved. I don't have the exact date, Your Honor.
I know the exact date.
Give me the date.
Here, I cashed my check on my income tax check on 1/30/01. That is the day that he moved into Pancho Villa. I moved on February 2nd. That was not the agreement.
Just a second. What date did he move into the facility?
January 30th.
The same day that you gave him the money.
I took him there.
So you were living in the program on the day she moved.
No, at the program that I was at, I didn't have to stay there every day. I can go out, come and go pretty much as I
Did
want.
he help you move?
Yes, he did help me
Okay,
move.
tell me what he did.
He helped take 2 loads of stuff to my house.
Okay, what else did you do for her?
I put all of her kids' beds together, picked her kids up from school. She actually had put my name down at her kids' school as a person to be able to pick up her kids in emergency.
Okay.
Yeah.
And picked up her kids several times. And also took her friend down to Fairfield. The lady sitting over there took her friend down to Fairfield to the county jail to see her friend.
He's lying.
Okay, what did I tell you?
Okay.
There was a period of time when you lived with the plaintiff, is that right?
Correct.
When was that?
That was in the month of January.
The entire month of January?
No.
I'm going to throw you out. Do you understand?
All right.
Next time, we're not talking about a lot of money. It would be very easy for me to just to say goodbye to you. You got it? Mm-hmm. During the entire month of January?
No, only about a week and a half to 2 weeks.
Let's say 2 weeks. And you slept there?
Correct.
You ate there?
Actually, I had some money of my own. I still have my gate money from when I left
How
school. I
much
went
money?
and bought my own food.
How much money?
They gave me $200 gate money.
You mean when they threw you out of the program, they gave you
No,
$200?
when they kicked me out of prison.
They didn't
I had
kick
that.
you out of prison.
Yeah, I mean, when I
You
got
wanted to
released from
stay?
prison, I'm sorry.
You wanted to stay in prison? Huh?
No.
You wanted to stay in prison?
No.
How much money did you give her towards rent in those 2 weeks?
During those 2 weeks, I helped her clean up around the house because I was
Answer
buying my own food and
answer
buying
my
food for them.
question, sir. I want the question answered. How much money did you give her towards rent when you were living there?
Nothing.
When you went to pick up her children on those couple of occasions, did you use her car?
Correct.
Did you ever use her car for your own personal business?
No, I did not.
Did he ever use your car for his own personal
Yes, he
business?
did.
Of course he did.
Yes, he did.
Where did he go?
He went to the parole officer.
Of course he did. He had to go in and check in periodically with the parole officer. And how did you get there, sir?
I would take the bus.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I
Wow.
did.
Oh, no.
I would hop on BART and take BART and catch the 80
of
bus
course you did.
to Vallejo.
Are you telling me, sir, that you never took her car to go and visit your parole officer?
No, I did not. I got bus vouchers from my parole officer to use.
Really?
Yes.
Very interesting.
She wouldn't allow me to use her car for personal purposes.
Really? That doesn't sound like it was very generous of her.
Well, there's a lot of things that don't sound very generous
So
about
why
her.
didn't you,
can call
what'd
my
you stay
parole
there
officer.
for 2 weeks for?
Well, as she says, the sex was good, pretty much, is why she let me stay there. And it
Really?
was. I was down 22 months, and I stayed there for the same reason.
Really? So you had it all stored up? Right, is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Trinity Kiger says ex-boyfriend Michael Hunter owes her for an unpaid loan and the return of 2 CDs.
Not.
And also, can I be allowed to say something about her character? You
No,
can call
I
my
don't want to
parole
hear
officer.
anything about her character. I
Well,
hear
I
enough
believe,
about your
I believe
character.
it's very important to deal with this case. Something that you can verify by calling my parole officer and find out.
I'll hear you.
Okay. The night that we broke up, she came down and had my old roommate let both of these 2 in. She came in and punched my new girlfriend in the nose, smacked me around 10 times. The only reason I didn't call the police and press charges is because she had threatened to say that I had beat her up, put bruises on her, and file a domestic violence case against me.
Now, this is very interesting. You're supposed to be in a
Sober
clean and
living
sober program, and you're living with a new girlfriend.
No,
How did that come about?
my new girlfriend was over visiting
Visiting where?
at the sober living home.
Okay. When? Give me the date.
My parole officer would have the date because I went there
I'm
the very
asking
next
you
day.
the date.
I told her I don't have
How
the
much
exact date.
How much after she gave you the $200?
This was probably about a month and a half, 2 months.
Well, if she gave you the money, sir, sometime in, let's say, the end of January,
I believe
It had-
sometime in March.
well, that's just a few weeks afterwards
No,
that you had a new
that's about,
girlfriend.
like I said,
4
about a month,
weeks,
a month and a
5
half.
weeks?
About,
Yeah.
I'd say about 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks.
And when did you get the new girlfriend? That she,
I started a job working at Walmart, and I found a woman there that was actually
Nicer to
treated,
you.
treated me a lot better.
when did you start the job at Walmart?
I started it when I first got there to that program, so it was in February. I started that there.
And so you found somebody else right away?
No, like I said, it was about 5 to 6 weeks that I
You're
actually
a
started
sleazy
talking.
character. Pay her back a $200. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Thank
Parties
you.
are excused. You may step out.
When she came down and smacked me around in the face 10 times and hit my girlfriend in the nose, everything right then and there, any chances of me ever paying her back would have been out.
Then he thought because he was, having sex with me that was gonna cure the problem, and it didn't.
And now the next case.
All parties on Mills versus Trelfa. Step forward, please.
23-year-old customer service rep Jason Mills is suing 38-year-old business owner Karen Trelfa for damage to his snowmobile resulting from a collision. Karen is countersuing for damage to her snowmobile, claiming the accident was Jason's fault.
Mr. Mills, you were on an outing and you were what is it called?
Snowmobiling.
Snowmobiling. And it is your claim that the defendant, who was also snowmobiling, had an accident and plowed into your snowmobile, which was in a stationary position.
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant says that you and your party created a dangerous situation. She's an experienced snowmobiler, and she wants you to pay for the damage to her snowmobile. Right?
Correct.
Okay. So tell me when this happened.
Well, on February 11th, 2001, we had rented a snowmobile. We were sledding with four total sleds, 6 individuals on the sleds. We had stopped on the far right of the trail, off of the groomed path, under the powder. I saw the defendant and her husband, whose sled was in front of hers, coming at us at a high rate of speed. Within a milliseconds of his passing through his powder, I saw the defendant's sled sliding toward us. She made impact with us. I was thrown from the sled, landed on my neck.
You were sitting on the sled.
I was standing directly next to my sled. I was the only person standing at the time. Everyone else was still sitting on their sleds facing forward. I was thrown up, landed on my neck. Anita was thrown from the sled and landed in a snowbank. The impact was severe enough to throw her boot from her body. If you look where the other sleds were parked, Mrs. Trolfa ended up toward the first and second sled. She made impact at the rear of our sled, slid down the trail. Now, immediately after, Mrs. Trolfa did come and immediately check to see if we were okay. Mr. Trolfa, of course, was worried about the condition of the sled.
What did he say?
Well, he acknowledged that her sled was pretty much trashed. Our sled, the damage was pretty severe. The frame itself was bent. I believe when you see the photographs, the frame on her sled is severely damaged. The top.
Do you have photographs?
Yes, I do. Would you like to see them?
Please.
That is her sled. This is my sled.
Is hers.
The red-colored portion of her sled was actually detached upon impact. It's just laying on.
Step up, sir. When did you realize that your wife had been in an accident?
After coming to a stop, after avoiding these people, there was people in snowmobiles parked in the trail, and I had to actually go around them on the left, up on the berm off the groomed section to go around them, and that is where I came to a stop.
What was the reason, sir, that you stopped your snowmobile?
Because I realized that there was an accident waiting to happen, an accident in progress, and my wife was
Well, how
probably
could you
getting
tell
hurt.
there was an accident in progress?
I turned around.
Sit down, sir. Okay, let me hear your version of this accident.
We were traveling from this direction down the trail. When I came over the hill, I noticed 4 snowmobiles parked along the right-hand side. There were people on this side and people on this side of the trail. My husband went to the left, which is off the
Just a
trail.
second.
This line.
You see stupid written here?
No, I don't, ma'am.
Then you explain to me what possible rationale there would be to park the snowmobiles on one side and then for the people to be standing on the other side, not near their snowmobiles. You explain that to me.
Well, it does not practice safe snowmobiling procedure.
Of course it wouldn't. It would practice somebody
Your-
being
Your
on
Honor, I
drugs.
can-
Leave
Your Honor,
their
I can help with
snowmobiles on one side. Now I could see if you put them near where their snowmobiles were and you say that they were on the trail. But why would somebody get off their snowmobile, leave it on one side of the road, and walk over to the other side of the road? Why would somebody do that?
I don't know
Answer it.
why they chose to. I would assume that they were taking photographs,
But your husband made it.
which...
Your husband made it.
Yes, he did. And when he went to this side, this person here ran across the front of the trail, which is where I was headed.
Go ahead.
I couldn't go right behind him. I would have be going too fast, and I would have ended up possibly hitting him because he was in some very deep snow and had stopped very quickly. So I had tried to get between this person and this snowmobile. He must have startled this person, and they ran across the trail. So I grabbed my handlebars and turned them sideways in order to turn my snowmobile so that I either flipped it before I got to this person or at least did not hit this person nose first and really throw them.
Your Honor, I don't know how she could claim that she saw people on the far left side of the trail, especially since I am the only person who was standing next to a sled at the time of impact.
Where were the other people?
They were still on their sleds.
According to your answer, you've been snowmobiling for 30 years. Is that right?
12 years.
12 years.
We do almost 3,000 miles a winter, so almost 30,000 miles.
And is this area that you were snowmobiling in well-traveled?
Yes,
A lot of people there?
yes,
Sometimes experienced,
yes,
sometimes not.
yes,
Their bikes were stationary when you hit them?
yes.
You're responsible.
No, ma'am.
Period. Oh, yes, you are. Oh, yes, even if I believe you, and I don't believe a lot of what you told me, nobody would leave their snowmobile in the middle of the road and go
They
and
were
take
not in the
pictures.
middle.
In the middle of the road and go take pictures.
They were not in the middle.
Right. So if they were not in the middle and you are a 12-year experienced veteran, you're supposed to be cautious.
And I was.
You're supposed to be cautious. No, if you were cautious, you wouldn't hit them.
I was 100 feet from the line of sight. They were in a very limited visibility area.
Then you're supposed to be more careful.
I was traveling at a very safe rate of speed.
Well, how could you be traveling at a safe rate of speed causing this damage?
They trapped the area and enclosed it.
I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe that they created the kind of hazardous situation that you attribute to them. Maybe some of these sleds weren't totally off the road. Maybe some of them were hanging over a little bit. But you've got a counterclaim. You want them to pay for your sled. You hit them. And you don't know who it was who ran across the road. If you claim somebody ran across the road creating a hazardous situation, it certainly wasn't him. He got thrown from his bike.
It was her.
Oh, you mean you remember that?
Yes. And if he was the only one that was standing next to the trail, how did she get between me and their snowmobile that was to the right of me?
I don't know. What?
Now, is she claiming that I was on the other side of this trail and running across?
Yes.
Well, if that is the case, how was I thrown from my snowmobile and into the snowbank?
Were you on the snowmobile with him?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and he was standing?
Yes.
And you were sitting on
I
the
was
side?
sitting on the back of the sled.
I don't know how she can claim that. Where were the rest of the people?
They were all on their sleds, sitting on their sleds.
Sounds more right to me. You hit his snowmobile while his snowmobile was in a stationary position, period. His snowmobile, according to you, was well on the side of this road, and there was plenty of room for you to pass. Your husband had passed. There was plenty of room
Except
for you
for
to
the
pass.
people stepped out into the
I don't-
trail.
Listen, that happens. I don't believe it was her. She says she was sitting on the snowmobile. It's possible that somebody else ran out. You have to anticipate that. That's not his job to anticipate it. That's your job to anticipate it because you're moving.
I agree.
Good. Then you have to pay for his damage. Judgment for the plaintiff for $1,245, which is what it's going to take to fix the snowmobile. Your counterclaim's dismissed. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Tiga versus Davidson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
According to your complaint, your husband, who had suffered a stroke some time ago, needed some assistance, and you hired the defendant because you were planning a European cruise. You hired the defendant who you knew from doing volunteer work at some senior citizen center. And according to you, after about a week on the cruise, he left. There was some disagreement. He left the cruise, and you want him to reimburse you for his tickets, which was some $3,000 for the cruise. Right?
Yes.
He has a counterclaim. He says that he was unceremoniously thrown off the ship, and it cost him some $400 to get back. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And when was the cruise scheduled?
July 25th is the day we left. We had a couple days in London before the cruise.
And your agreement with him was what?
To go on the cruise, all expenses paid. What he would have to do is shower and dress my husband and push the wheelchair. As soon as we got there, it's as if he was totally unable to handle his responsibilities.
And you said after the first day something happened. So tell me what happened.
Our first tour, we were getting off the bus. I asked Joe, bring the wheelchair so my husband could sit down, and so quickly he jammed the chair against my husband's legs, almost knocking him down. I talked with my hands, and I just said, "Are you crazy?" And I just flung my hand back, and I went to reach for my husband.
Did he wheel him on that tour the first day?
As part of the time.
And then you went back to the cruise ship?
Well, even before we got back there, he told me he did not want to take care of Jack anymore.
What did he say?
He said, "I don't want to do this anymore." I said, "Excuse me?" He says, "I don't want to take care of Jack anymore."
Did he say why?
No, no explanation at all.
So then you got back to the cruise ship, and what did you do?
Well, we got back to the ship. I couldn't do anything that day. That evening, I heard him defaming me to some passengers, telling them that I assaulted him. And I spoke with him and asked him not to do that, that it's not appropriate, and it's none of anyone's business what happened between us. He said he wouldn't talk about it anymore, and he indicated to me that if he could find a way off the ship, he would do it. I told him, go see the purser. 2 days later, when we were in port, I went to the purser. Well, my stepson was sharing a cabin with Joe, and he was very disgusted that he would have to look at him after what Joe did to his father.
Well, why don't you step up, please? You're Richard?
Yes, ma'am.
You were sharing a cabin.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you have any conversation with the defendant?
Very little. I was upset about the whole situation, so I avoided him.
Did he, in fact, after the incident, the first day on ship, have any contact with your father?
He actually got into a tuxedo that he had borrowed and participated in the formal dinner that night and came over and attempted to talk to Paula, at which time she asked him to, just not talk to us.
Did he come and shower your father?
No, Your Honor.
Did he wheel him around at all?
No, ma'am. I took over and did all that.
Did you have any discussion with the defendant about leaving the ship?
Just the time that he told Paul if there was any way he could leave the ship that he would, so we went to the purser and tried to find out if that was possible.
And who communicated with the defendant that, in fact, arrangements had been made for him to be dropped off?
Paula and myself looked around the ship and found him in the library and explained the situation.
Who explained the situation?
I did.
What did you say to him?
I told him I arranged for him to leave the ship, and he only had a few minutes to pack.
Where were you?
Ireland, Cove, Ireland.
Okay.
And we assisted him to his cabin, watched him
So
pack.
you said to him you had arranged for him to leave the ship.
Yes.
What did he say to you?
He said, what? He didn't really say anything. I gave him his ticket from London to the United States, and I told him when you get to the airline, tell them you need to change your date, that you're flying back.
Okay. Now, Mr. Davidson, let's hear your version of the events.
Mrs. Tigger asked me to go on the cruise with her. The first agreement did not mention showering and dressing him. She said, I want you to wheel him around, and I want you to take him out on the deck after lunch and read to him. But the main reason I'm taking you on this cruise is that I am sick of having to get up during dinner to take him to the restroom.
At some point, you changed that agreement with her with regard to showering and dressing?
She said I had to shower and dress him and undress him.
When did she tell you that?
2 weeks before we left?
So that you knew that before you left?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
But before we left, she called me up on the phone and she said, I'm giving you a check for $2,500. I want you to cash it and give me the cash back. She was acting like she was paying me $2,500 to go on the cruise and then give her the money back.
Let's get to the cruise, Mr. Davidson.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We got to Le Havre. I put together his wheelchair. He sat down in it. I was wheeling his wheelchair. She came back and she assaulted me, saying that I had hit his foot.
How did she assault you?
She punched me with her hand.
Show me how she punched you. With a punch?
With a punch.
Yes.
On my right shoulder.
Yes.
She said, get away from us. We don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. Just leave. I went back to the ship. I tried to file an assault report. They refused to take it. I went to the purser. The purser said, are you leaving the ship? I said, I don't have tickets home to leave the ship. I can't leave the ship. She waited until we got to Ireland. They said, you're off the ship. They took me to my room. They made me pack my bags. They handed me this. And they said, you have to do this and you have to take that flight. And you have $200 in traveler's checks to pay for the flight. I got to London and the tickets weren't good for another 9 days.
Go ahead.
I explained to the airline what happened. They saved my life, Your Honor. They gave me a standby ticket. It took me 31 hours to get home.
Mr. Davidson, why would you think that she would unceremoniously throw you off the ship unless she had a problem with the way you were taking care of her husband?
Because she was angry with me because I wouldn't cash her check, and she didn't want me to go on the trip.
Well, that sounds sort of strange, Mr. Davidson, because you said that this was prior to you leaving by several weeks. At that point, it would have been very easy to cash in your ticket and say, forget it, I don't want you to go with me.
I feel I would still be standing here that she would have sued me for not going on the trip.
No. Now, that doesn't make sense, Mr. Davidson. What I just don't understand is something was sufficiently egregious about the way you were handling her husband so that she said, I don't want you to have anything to do with him anymore. Because I believe that you did say that, Miss Tigger. I believe that you said to him, get away, I don't want you to take care of him anymore.
That was the next night.
whatever. Whatever. It was the next night. You said, I don't want you to have anything to do with him anymore. So that you don't get the money back from his crew. You don't get the money back. As it happens, he didn't even finish the trip. My question with regard to you is, do you have any sort of counterclaim? Because you said it cost you about $400 to fly from Ireland to London and then your taxi and everything else, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Had you ever been to Europe before, Mr. Davidson?
I've been to London once,
How long ago?
25 years.
And did you spend 2 days in London?
Yes.
So at least those couple of days were pleasant.
Yes, ma'am.
The reason that I asked you questions before with regard to your treatment of Mr. Tigger was because I can't figure out why she would have fired you. Because I believe she told you that she didn't want you to take care of her husband anymore. And I do believe that you also said to her, I'm not doing this anymore.
No, ma'am, I didn't.
You didn't.
No.
Never.
No.
Did you appear at their door each morning to shower Mr. Tigger?
No.
That was part of your job.
Yes.
And you didn't do it.
No.
You didn't make an attempt to do it.
I went up to them on Sunday night and I apologized to Mr. Tigger.
What did you apologize for, Mr. Davidson?
I said, if I inadvertently hit your foot, which I did not do, I apologize. I would never do that.
But you did not report to their stateroom each morning.
They called up on the phone and said, send Richard.
Did you ever ask Mrs. Tigger for him to come down and shower your husband?
No.
Miss Tigger, you are not entitled to recoup from Mr. Davidson the money for the ticket.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson had cards made up. Personal travel companion will travel worldwide. And on my dollar, he took these cards and was giving them out to passengers.
So what? So what does that have to do
He would
with you?
take a disabled person, leave them in their room, and go and enjoy himself on a cruise.
No, Miss Tigger. Please, please. That's really not what happened. And I don't blame you at all for deciding that Mr. Davidson was not giving your husband the kind of compassionate care that you thought he should have. But that doesn't mean you can recoup the ticket unless he left voluntarily.
He did leave voluntarily.
No, he did not leave voluntarily.
He did.
He did not. You had him ejected from the ship. You just told me that you found him in the library. You had made arrangements for him. He did not even respond to you when you said to him, you're leaving now and you have to pack quickly because you only have a few minutes. You took him to his cab. I said, what had he respond? He said he went, he didn't know what to say. Now, if you had let him remain on the cruise ship for the entire course of your 10-day cruise, and if he did not, in fact, perform his duties, but he took full advantage of this vacation, then you might have had a cause of action. But you arranged for him to leave.
2.5 days after the incident, when he goes around like he's Mr. Hotshot, enjoying the cruise, yes, to tell you the truth, it totally disgusted me. That
So
he would
then
do
you
that.
made a
And defaming me to passengers and giving out his business card, which I had never seen before.
Doesn't make any difference. Giving out his business card and telling passengers that you assaulted him is not, you may consider it a reason. And it may be a reason because you say, look, he's talking badly of me, he's giving out his business card, and I'm footing the bill. So I'm getting him off this ship. That's what happened. So you did. You have to pay for it. You lose. The only thing that I have to consider is your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I do, in fact, believe, Mr. Davidson, that at some point you said, I don't want to do this anymore. You may have said it to her after she either pushed you on the arm or slapped you on the arm. You're not accustomed to that. I believe she probably did it out of anger because she saw that her husband either might have been hurt, his foot might have been hurt. But I don't believe that you have a cause of action. You had an option. When she came to you and said to you, you are leaving in Ireland, you could have said to her, I'm not going anywhere.
Yes, ma'am.
And just continue to enjoy the sea breeze.
Yes, ma'am.
And I will stay as far away from them as possible.
Yes, ma'am.
And you didn't do that. That was your choice. Your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He had every intention of having an incident, hurting my husband, and then quitting so he could get a free cruise.
Paula is a control freak, and if you don't do what she says, the second she says it, she flips out.
And now the next case.
All parties on Turner versus Peak. Step forward.
33-year-old flight engineer Christopher Turner is suing his ex-girlfriend, 26-year-old child care provider Anna Peak, for the return of a computer monitor and a web camera. Anna says they were gifts.
You used to be the defendant's boyfriend. He broke up some time ago. You say that she has some property that belongs to you. She says everything that she has that you claim belonged to you were gifts. That's what this case is about.
That's correct.
Let's talk about the phone. What kind of phone are we talking
It
about?
was a Sony 900 megahertz phone. It was a little black phone. I used to call her on the phone, and when she used to go out and feed her ducks and chickens, her old phone she had just was constant static. So I got tired of hearing it after a while, so I just said, hey, I got an extra phone you can borrow, and I brought it over one day, and she used it from then on. I never actually said you can have it as a gift or anything like that.
What else?
A net cam.
A net cam. What's a net cam?
A net cam is something you hook up your computer, and you can get on Microsoft Net Meeting, and you can talk 2 ways, and it shows a video on it also.
Net cam. So tell me the circumstances surrounding you giving her the net cam.
I'm in the military, so when I go TDY, basically temporary duty, I go and fly to Japan, Hawaii, Alaska, and stuff like that for my job. So I always bring my laptop with me. So I got an extra net cam. I saw her online, so I asked her to bring up the program for...
Just a minute. You got an extra net cam. Do you have a net cam?
Yes, I do.
And what did you do with yours?
The first one I have, I let her borrow, and I just showed her
And
how
she
it
was your
worked.
girlfriend?
Yes, she was.
So you are telling me that you said, I am giving you this net cam that you can borrow, but if we break up, you have to give it back because I'm just loaning it to you.
I never actually said it, because I don't ever actually think we're going to break up or nothing like that.
Of
I guess
course
I'm
Mr. Turner.
optimistic
That's
person.
exactly what I'm saying, sir. You got it. That's exactly what I'm saying, because I don't think it's kind of romantic. You're off doing this TDY or whatever. You want to be as close as possible to your girlfriend, so you want to be able to communicate with her. So you go out and buy a new one. Not very romantic. You give her the old one, you keep the new one, but, you know, maybe you really weren't so sure about the relationship. What's next, Mr. Turner?
Basically a monitor also that I let her borrow.
A monitor. When did you give her the monitor?
Around December 18th.
December 18th. Under what circumstances did you give her the monitor? I assume this was for a computer.
Yeah, I built her a computer also. I built computers as a hobby. Well, she had a little 14-inch monitor, and I went to a computer show, and I needed an extra monitor also, so I got a good deal on one.
So you bought yourself a new one?
Yes, I did.
And you gave her your old one?
I took the new one out, put on my computer desk is like a 2-tier desk. So I already got one 17-inch monitor. When I put the second one on there, the second tier couldn't handle sort of bows in the middle. So I just put my 14-inch monitor on there and let her borrow the other one.
You walk into her house and you've got this new monitor, and you're in love.
Well, I don't know if it's... Okay.
And it's a few days before Christmas. So you say to her, I have something here that you can borrow?
No, what I did, I had the computer wrapped up. I actually wrapped up a monitor, too, because I had a necklace in there also.
Just a second. You wrapped up the monitor?
It's how, well,
Just
it was...
a second. You wrapped up the monitor?
Yes.
In what kind of paper did you wrap the monitor?
It was Christmas wrapping paper.
And within that same package, you were also going to give her a necklace.
Yes.
Was it wrapped in the same Christmas paper?
It was actually in a computer box.
So you brought over three presents.
That's correct.
Wrapped in Christmas paper.
The monitor wasn't a present. I was just gonna, when I gave it to her, I said, hey, here's a computer. It wasn't a computer. When she opened up, she saw it was a computer. I said, what's in the big box is actually a smaller box. The other one I'm just gonna let you borrow.
You said that to her?
That's correct.
Mr. Turner.
No, he didn't.
You would have been out the door. What did she give you for Christmas?
A couple shirts, some pants, and something else. I'm not sure what it is.
Cologne, Obsession,
Cologne.
Yeah, clone also.
and it's a little gift bag with little playful stuff.
As far as you're concerned, all of these things were gifts.
Correct. Well,
You don't have to say any more. Correct.
yes.
It's easy. Mr. Turner, get over it. They were all gifts. That's all.
Parties are excused. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Wilder, the defendant is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, your mother was relocating to Hawaii. Where had you been living with her?
In Houston.
In Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
So she was going to try a new life in Hawaii. And you and your mother entered into an agreement. According
Yes.
to your complaint, you could use the car that was in her name, on which there was a loan, and you would make the payments on the car. So far correct?
No, ma'am. To our agreement was that we were going to be taking over the payments for the car.
Just a second. you were going to be paying for the car.
Yes.
And if she decided to stay in Hawaii, according to your complaint, then she would turn the car over to you.
No.
Well, let me read what you wrote, Miss Wilder. Your complaint says, my mother and I had a verbal agreement when she moved to Hawaii in October that if she stayed there, she would sign over her 1996 Corsica to me, and I agreed to pick up the payments. That's what you wrote.
Well, she said that she moved there.
I'm just telling you that that's what you wrote in your complaint.
Yes.
And as it turns out, your mother did not stay in Hawaii, but she came home. When did she come home?
About a week and a half before March the 1st.
When did she leave?
Right before the 1st of October.
That's not true.
When did you leave?
November 8th. I came back February 23rd.
So she came back, and she took her car back.
Yes.
And you want her to reimburse you for the payments that you made for those 4 months.
Yes.
According to what you wrote here in your complaint, your agreement was that if she decided to stay there, then she would turn the car over. Now what you're telling me is you were going to take over the payments and the car completely when she left Texas. Is that right?
Her residence was going to be in Hawaii. She moved there.
Ms. Wild, try listening to what I'm saying to you. According to what you're saying now, when she left Texas for Hawaii, your agreement was that you were going to now own the car.
Yes.
And it would be your car.
Yes.
So why didn't you make the transfer before she left?
Because I couldn't get anything underneath my name. We didn't have enough money to, we had a vehicle in our name, and we still do. But we had problems with it. It was broke down. We agreed that I would take over the payments for the car, so we put a for sale sign on the truck. The truck wasn't really safe. I was fixing to have my second child, and it was more of a family car, so we agreed to take over the payments.
Okay, how much were the payments?
$300 a month.
And what happened when your mother came home?
Well, right before she came home, we had talked, and I asked her what she was going to do for transportation and everything. And she said that as long as I helped her, get a job, find for her to have transportation back and forth, that her exact words were she would go around my schedule. I didn't have a problem with that at all. When she came back, she started having this power thing. That's what it was a power thing. She wanted to have the control over the car. And, I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it does.
I worked nights, she worked during the day. It became a problem. She was like, no, I'm having the car, this and that. We started fighting. She threatened to call the police the first time. And then we had a problem again, and the police did get involved.
Okay. Now, according to you, you paid for the car for October, right?
Yes.
November?
Yes.
December?
Yes.
January?
I have a log from the dealership that's from what I paid.
Who wrote, in whose handwriting is this?
That's the
lien holder.
Yes.
You're supposed to pay this on the 1st of the month?
Yes, ma'am.
The 1st and the 15th. It's scheduled for $150 every 2 weeks.
So you didn't make a payment on the 15th of February, is that right?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
There was a couple of times when I paid late and everything, but the man from the dealership, he was a friend of ours. He knew that I would pay. He knew that I was taking over the payments, everything.
No, he knew I was going to pay,
just a second.
Carrie.
But you did not make a payment for February. February 15th's payment you did not make.
She didn't make a whole payment the whole month of January.
I paid late, Your Honor.
February 2nd, she made a payment.
Yes, I paid the full amount for all of January. He knew that man from the dealership.
Don't tell me what he knew. Just answer my questions. You did not pay in January.
No.
You say you made up January's payment in February.
Yes.
But then you didn't make February's payment.
Yes, I did. I was only $100
No, you weren't.
behind. Yes, I was.
When I came back, I had to pay the $450 that she didn't pay, so my insurance got canceled because I didn't have enough money to pay the bill.
Was your agreement with your daughter that this car would be hers, period? Or was your agreement with your daughter that if you stayed in Hawaii, the car would be hers?
Her and her boyfriend both. I talked to them, both of them, and I explained to them that you guys can use the car as long as you make the payments on it. If I don't come back from Hawaii, then as soon as the car was paid off, I would sign it over to her lock, stock, and barrel. Well, by February 15th, I knew I was coming back because she was going to have the baby pretty soon. And I told Carrie, as long as you help me get back and forth to work and I can get you back and forth to work, we'll figure out something. Well, it was to the point where neither one of them were showing up to pick me up for work. I would call and call and call, and nobody would answer the phone. And I'd have to find other ways
At
to get
7
back to work.
o'clock in the morning
That's
and
right.
everything on
That's-
Sunday, on the weekend. She wanted the car, which is understandable, but it was my car. Before she came, her exact words were, she'll go around my schedule.
Just a second. She made the payments. She started to pick up the payments
No.
as soon as she came back. Yes.
Yes.
According to these,
Yes, I did.
according to these,
Yes.
according to
Yes.
this, according to the dealer, she started to make the payments. So you were not making the payments when she returned from Hawaii.
That's not why she took the car.
That's not what I asked you.
Yeah, but yes, ma'am.
She was making the payments. So the car is in her
took
name.
over.
She was using
And you were using it. Pay attention.
No.
Well, the car was parked in your driveway because you just said to me your complaint was that you would ask for the car at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
This is
So you
before
had
the first. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you.
before what?
She took the car back before the payment was even due. The insurance payment was even due.
I'm not talking about the insurance payment, Miss Wilder. I'm talking about the car payment, which she clearly made. Put your hand down. Which she clearly made before she took the car
No,
back.
ma'am. She paid the payment after she took the car from us.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is true. It is
Because,
true.
Your Honor, I
Don't
even
let
paid-
her
I
sit
even
here and lie.
paid
She
her
took the
electric
car.
bill.
The police called me on the phone. You need to give the keys to your mother. Everything's in her name. Then the payment was due on the car. The insurance, I
What
told
was
her.
the, just, I'm not talking the insurance. You're hooked into insurance. I'm not talking insurance.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carrie Wilder says her mother, Angela Hemley, owes her for car payments and the money she paid for car insurance.
What date did the police come to your house and remove the car from your house?
I'm not sure. I'm not
Well,
exact
first of all, the
date.
cops didn't go to her house. They came to where I was staying with my brother.
She was
And they
fine.
made a
What
courtesy
date?
call. I don't know the exact date. It was in April.
I had to be at work that night.
And they explained.
You remember that?
Yes.
Was it in April?
No, it wasn't.
When was it?
Do you know what day it was?
What?
March.
So you say it was in March. Clearly you made no payment in March for the car. And you didn't make the last payment in February, according to your own records.
Yes, it was before March.
No, it wasn't. Miss Wilder.
The reason why I'm
Miss
saying
Wilder,
this is it was before
listen
the
to me.
first of
Listen
the
to
month.
me. No. No.
Yes,
She says
the
April.
police came.
Boyfriend over here says March. And you don't know whether you're afoot or horseback. Pay attention. You had the use of a car for 3 months. You drove it. You went to work with it.
Yes.
Boyfriend went to work with it.
Yes.
And you paid $300 a month for it.
Yes.
You had no other car because you just told me you sold it.
No, we're still trying to sell it. It has a for sale sign.
Well, then it must be a pretty much of a clinker if you can't sell it.
Well, it's
So
a
you were
one-time.
using this car. You can't use it for nothing. You
Yeah.
couldn't rent a car for $300 a month.
But that's not the agreement that we had.
Yes,
I
it was. The
understand that.
agreement that you had was, according to your sworn complaint, my mother and I had an agreement when she moved to Hawaii that if she stayed there, she would sign over her car to us, and I agreed to pick up the payments.
That's on her. She decided to come back. That was her. She got ID,
If
everything, permanent
she-
residence.
Pay attention. If she stayed there, she did not stay there, she moved back.
Yes.
According to your mother, and I believe her because it sounds right. Look, I don't know what we're going to do with the car. Let's try to work together with the car. You're expecting a baby. As long as you take me where I have to go and I can get to work on time and I can get to where else I have to go, let's try to work it out. And then, according to your mother, not only weren't you making the payments on the car in a timely fashion, but there was also a problem picking her up and getting her to work. She decided to take the car back, which she did, which she was entitled to do, even under your agreement, your initial agreement. So your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
You can't trust anybody, not even your own family.
I just want to see him happy.
This ain't the first thing, but it's the last thing.
And now the next case.
All parties on Douglas versus Whalen. Step forward, please.
29-year-old kitchen designer Rob Douglas is suing his former roommate, 27-year-old pipe coverer Sean Whalen, for intentionally breaking his dog's leg.
Mr. Douglas, according to your complaint, the defendant was a friend of yours and you decided to share an apartment together. You moved into the apartment and you have a small dog.
Yes.
What kind of dog do you have?
It's a dachshund.
It is your complaint that the defendant purposefully caused your dog to have a broken leg. Is that right?
Yes.
When did you move into this apartment together?
February of 2000.
How many people moved into the apartment?
There was 3 of us.
Did you have the dog in February of 2000
Yes, I did.
so that you knew that the dog would be moving
I
in?
knew
for
the
you?
dog would be coming in, but I also knew that there wasn't no pets allowed in the apartment.
I just asked you if you knew the dog would be coming in.
All right.
When was the dog's leg broken?
The dog's leg was broken a week before I was moved out in February of 2001.
You weren't at home at the time.
No, I wasn't.
What indication do you have that Mr. Whalen did this act purposefully?
He would tantalize the dog. Whenever the dog came into the room, he would stomp near it. One time he threw a beer can at it. Sean and I got into a fight over that. He had broken the dog's cage.
How did he break the dog's cage?
He stepped on the top of it and put a hole into it.
When did he do that?
I was at work again.
When did I do that?
Shh, don't speak to him.
I was at work. I came home, and the dog's cage, I left it in the kitchen. And I came into the kitchen, and there was a huge hole in the top of it. And I asked Sean what had happened. He said the dog had been barking in the cage, and that he had stomped on the top of the cage and broke it.
You mean to stop the dog from barking?
Right. But in the process, he put a huge hole in it.
Wrong.
And I went out and bought a new cage, and then I started keeping the dog up in my room.
In the cage?
Right.
Now, what happened in February of 2001, sir?
I came home from work, and Sean was laying on the living room couch, and he said, "You better sit down." And I said, "Why?" He's like, "Don't flip out." And I'm like, "What'd you break?" And as the time I was sitting down, the dog came down the stairs, limping, and he jumped up on me, on my lap. And I looked at his leg, and it was like hanging, dangling, and the bone was like coming through the skin. He's like, I brought him to the vets. He said that the dog's leg needed to be wired. It was going to be over $2,000. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I was bringing the dog back up to his cage, and he wiggled out of my arms, and he fell on. I had a saw on the top of my stairs, because I'm a carpenter too. And he said he dropped it on the saw, the dog on the saw.
What time of the day did you leave that day in February?
For work, I left at 8:30 in the morning.
And where was the dog when you left for work?
In his cage in my room.
That's wrong.
Shh. I'm going to get to you. Didn't you understand? What words don't you understand?
All right, I'm all right.
The dog was in the cage when
Yes.
you left. Had you walked the dog that morning?
I let him out the back door. Every morning I would let him out the back door to go to the bathroom, and then I put him up in his cage.
And what time did you return from work that day?
Like 5:30.
So the dog isn't walked between 8:30 and 5:30.
Right. But my other roommate, third roommate, would come home from work at 7:30 in the morning, go to bed, because he worked at night.
Right.
And when he'd get up, he would let the dog out before I got home from work. And then put the dog back in
At
his
what
cage.
time?
Whenever.
Okay. What time did you bring the dog to the vet?
Probably got there around 3 o'clock.
Was that before or after the third roommate woke up?
He wasn't home.
He wasn't home at all?
No.
Okay. And where did you find the dog?
I think he was in the living room,
What was he doing in the living room?
just sitting there. So I was going to bring him up to his cage. I didn't like the dog being out because it would mess in the apartment almost on a daily basis. And I was on my way out again, so I wanted the dog back in his crate. So I brought him up. I was bringing him upstairs, and it squirmed out of my arms. He knew where I was bringing him. He didn't want to go there, probably. Squirmed out of my arms, fell on the saw, made a horrible noise, and then it looked to me like his leg was broken, so I brought him to the vet.
Mr. Whalen, I read your answer very carefully, and it's clear from your answer, sir, that you didn't like this little dog. Could you tell me why?
I didn't like its behavior. It must be over 3 years old. It has not been properly trained. It would just pretty much do whatever it wanted. I've seen the dog on a table eating out of a bowl that I would eat out of, standing up on a table. The thing was untrained. It's not that I didn't like the dog. I didn't like the way it behaved. Should have been taken care of better than it was.
Why did you stomp on the cage?
I didn't stomp on the cage. I kicked it, the metal front.
Right.
And I kicked that, and that
Why
was
did you
dented.
kick at it?
Because the thing it was barking. It wouldn't be quiet.
So that's the way you thought you would get it to be quiet.
A little
by kicking it?
intimidation, yeah.
And the beer can incident.
I don't recall that incident.
Well, try to think hard. He seems to remember that you threw a beer can in the dog's direction, and then you had a fight about it. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
What responsibility, Mr. Whalen, do you believe you had with regard to the expenses for taking care of this dog?
None.
Why not?
I was simply bringing it back up to its cage, where it should have been.
Had you ever picked up this dog before?
Yes,
Many times?
many times.
Have you ever put the dog back in its cage before?
Yes, I have.
So the dog has tried to squirm not to go back into the cage before?
Yeah, it has.
When you came home on that day in February, Mr. Whalen, did you look around the house to see if the dog had messed in either your room or around the house?
I didn't look around. I just saw him out, and I brought him upstairs. But it had in the hallway where it usually does. Pretty much it's the same spot
On
every
that
time.
day?
Yes,
Now, when did you notice that, before or after you picked him up?
after.
And when you walked into the house and you saw the dog just sitting in the living room, were you annoyed that the dog was out of the cage?
Annoyed?
Yeah.
No.
You weren't.
Well, I guess a little bit, but I was going out again, and I wanted to put it where it's supposed to be.
Now, you took the dog to the vet,
Yes.
and the vet told you that the dog's leg was broken and needed surgery.
It needed Something more than, say, a cast, yeah. So it's going to be expensive.
So can you tell me why you didn't tell the vet to take care of the dog?
It wasn't my dog. I didn't want to make any decisions on it. Spending a couple $1,000s. I asked him if he could do anything for the dog. Like, he gave the dog some pain medication. And I said, probably the owner will probably come back here. I'm not going to make any decisions or tell you to do anything.
Now, when you brought the dog home, where did you put the dog?
I think I just put him up in his room and closed the door.
Mr. Douglas says that when he came home, the dog came limping down the stairs. Had you opened the door?
No.
How did the dog open the door?
The time that I went to the vet and came back, the other roommate had come home.
And?
Maybe he went up and looked at him and left the door open. I don't know. Or maybe the dog didn't come down like he said.
Well, you were there.
Yeah.
Well, did the dog come down the stairs or not?
I don't remember.
Mr. Whalen, did the vet indicate to you that the dog should be kept immobile until the decision was made about what was going to happen with the leg?
He said it was a pretty severe fracture.
Did he say that the dog should be kept immobile?
I don't remember hearing him say that, no.
Did you think it was a good idea, Mr. Whalen, if the dog had a severe fracture, to put the dog back in its cage when you brought it home instead of just putting it in the room so it wouldn't be walking around with this broken leg? Wouldn't that seem like common sense?
Yeah, I guess the dog could have been in the room just lying there, too.
Could have been, but as you said, the dog was untrained. Dogs not as smart as people. You put the dog in the cage, they can't walk around and further aggravate the break. So why didn't you put the dog in the cage?
I don't know, I just didn't put him in there. I put him in his room and I closed the door.
Your claim, Mr. Douglas, is that Mr. Whalen purposefully caused injury to your dog.
Yes.
That's the basis of your claim. If it was merely an unforeseen accident, he would not be responsible.
Right.
So I have to make a judgment as to whether I believe that Mr. Whalen did, in fact, act in such a reckless manner with your dog as to make him responsible for the vet bills. You understand that?
Yes.
I believe he did. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step up. Abel versus Lemke. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Abel, you and Mr. Lemke were dating each other, and according to your complaint, you moved into a home that he purchased, and you paid him during the course of the 6 months that you lived there approximately $9,000. You claim that that was money that you want back now that the relationship is over because that money was really used to defray the cost of his mortgage.
Yes.
In addition, you claim that he has some personal property that belongs to you and a cat. Mr. Lemke says that the money that you paid to him was rent, that the cat belonged to him, that he had the cat prior to your moving in, and he has none of your personal property. What was the financial arrangement when you moved in, Miss Abel?
On May 7th in 2004, we discussed how I could help with expenses. Mr. Lemke brought up the fact that about $1,400 would be fair, and I offered another $100 just to call it an even $1,500 because two women, my daughter and myself, were moving in, and there's a lot of blow dryer and hot water used
Okay,
in
so
that
you
case.
agreed to pay him $1,500 a month?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and?
And then about May 24th, after I had moved in, we'd become engaged, we had a discussion concerning my problem with the fact that I'm giving a lot of money to something that I won't get any return on. And why would I want to give $1,500 toward a mortgage that my name was not on? And Mr. Lemke said, well, I've been thinking about that, and here's what I've worked out. And I have the notes that he jotted down that day to explain to me how this money was actually an investment into his property.
Well, first tell me what he said to you.
He said that because his home appreciates $54,000 a year, over the past 10 years it had done that because it's lake property, that if you divide that number by 12 months and then again by 2 people, it comes out to about $2,200 a month in equity and investment money.
Yes.
And that is what he...
If your name was on the mortgage, and if the house was titled in both of your names.
That part was left out. The fact that he
Well,
said...
I understand
Yes.
that, but I understand it's left out of your story.
Right, exactly. But he also mentioned on the same piece of paper in an email to the attorney that I'm willing to invest in his home and that upon sale of the home, I would receive the investment money back plus free equity. And that is also in the handwritten note that he
Let me
gave
see it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this note discusses a prenuptial agreement that the two of you were contemplating.
Correct.
And what he says is, Gail wants to enhance the aesthetic ambiance of my cabin and is willing to invest in it. Any proceeds over $775,000 would be shared in the event of a sale. Are you okay doing a prenup for both of us? Okay. Have you sold the cabin?
No.
Well, your agreement was that when and if the house was sold, you would share in the profits and get your money back. The house hasn't been sold.
Correct.
So, you can't change the agreement because you're no longer together. You could have just as easily worked out an agreement where you said, well, that's fine. If the house is sold, I get my money back, and if we don't get married, I get some of my money back. But you didn't do that. So you didn't get your money back. The house hasn't been sold. That's your agreement.
But it was a term of our engagement and marriage as I understood it, that that money was investment.
You don't make an investment just because you understood it to be an investment. So you never came to an agreement with regard to that, according to this. Now, you're not suggesting that Mr. Lemke agreed to support you and your daughter.
Oh, not at all.
Good.
Not at all.
So that your $1,500 a month that you paid went for the roof over your head and your daughter's head, the electric that you say you used because you're two women that use more electricity for the heating or air conditioning or whatever else. $1,500 a month is reasonable. Get over it. Now let's get to the cat. Did you have the cat before?
Gail got the cat on her 40th birthday as a gift to herself. And shortly after I met her, gave me the cat.
When?
She said, we met February 3rd, and she gave me the cat February 20th.
Were you living together at the time?
No, she was living in her house. And she gave me the cat because the house was a total mess of animal feces and stink.
Whose
in
house?
Her house.
Yes.
And she had trouble with maintaining all the dogs and the cats in her house. So
How many dogs did she have?
I'm guessing 5 to 10.
Is that how many dogs you had?
I'm a breeder, Your Honor, and I had 5 dogs, yes, at the time.
How many cats?
2. And I would like to say that my house was not as he mentioned.
When did you move into his house?
May 15th, 2004.
All right, so between February and May, the cat was in his house.
No, Your Honor, no. I'm sorry. The cat did not leave my home until April. I had not decided to move in with him until April. And at that point, he asked if he could take the cat ahead of time because his daughters would get a kick out of it.
Okay. When did you move out of the house?
November 26, 2004.
And when you moved out of the house, did you take the cat with you?
No, I couldn't, Your Honor. I had to leave in a hurry because of abusive behavior.
Did you come back on the 27th for your cat? Just answer my question. Did you come back on the 27th for your cat?
Not for the cat, Your Honor. For possessions that I needed, my clothing and that sort of thing that I needed that I could take with me.
Good, but you didn't take your cat.
No, I could not.
Why could not?
He had told me that I must leave the dog and the cat there.
Fine. Did you come back with the police and say, this is my cat?
Yes, I did on February 28th.
Too late. Finished. Cat's his. If somebody took my dog, I guarantee you I would be there. I would file a lawsuit, not for my property, but if somebody took my dog and wouldn't let me have my dog, it wouldn't take me from November 26th to February to say,
Your Honor,
my pet is gone.
I had been asking him for the cat over
Asking
and over
him for the
again.
cat, listen to me, asking him for the cat is not what one does when one is missing one's valued, precious pet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The property that you claim he has that's yours are a soy sauce bottle, CDs, tape gun, painting supplies, and brush.
Yes, a growing list of things that I needed
I'm not
to get.
interested in your growing list. Get over it, Miss Abel.
And later today,
I read the answer about the flying pencil, but I want him to tell me himself how the pencil got on his chair. So we're going to start from turn around and look at me.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gail Abel says ex-boyfriend Tim Lemke owes for the return of money she invested in his home. Gail also claims Tim won't return her cat.
Go ahead.
I have email of all the times I requested amicably
Just
to
a
get
second.
the cat back.
Starting before February?
Yes.
Show me before
Absolutely
February.
before February. All right, this starts on January 16th. We had had prior communication
No,
until
no, just
that
a
date.
second. So the first
Yes.
time from November is in January that you have proof of when you ask for the cat back. Is that what you're telling me? Let me
That's the
see.
proof, yes.
Let me see.
It starts at the top of the page.
Where's the cat now, Mr. Lemke?
The cat was loaned to a friend of mine to catch a mouse.
Where is the cat now?
Oh, my house. Excuse me.
That was my question.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you right. Apologize. He was loaned out for a very short amount of time, and she demanded I get the cat back and I could keep the cat as long as I kept the cat at my house. So she came back and verified, and that's in an email that the cat was there, and she said, okay.
Where is that?
It's in an email.
You have it?
Yeah, right here. And when she... Shh. Excuse me.
Well, this in January seems to indicate that you wanted to come to his house to verify that the cat was back in his house.
Yes. And I asked again, may I please take my cat back? And he said no, he wouldn't even let me near it. He had the cat missing for a month, Your Honor. That night he gave me 3 different stories as to where the cat was. First it was with an old lady having surgery.
Where are your dogs now?
The one that I kept is with me. The other dogs I placed in other homes because...
And what about the cat that you had?
I had the cat for 6 years.
Where's the cat?
Oh, the second cat?
Yes.
Oh, the second cat?
Yes, the cat.
The cat we're talking about.
No, your other cat. You said you had 5 dogs and 2 cats.
Right.
Where's the other cat?
Right. The other cat went home with Mr. Lemke's nephew and stayed with his brother. I have that cat back now. I'm very thankful to say.
So you have the cat back?
I have the other cat back, yes. But not this one. But in the top of that email that you see, he said, I will give you the cat back if it's that big of a deal. And I said, yes, it is that big of a deal.
Well, evidently it wasn't such a big deal because you waited 4 months to get it back. Now, what property? Are you telling me that the property that you claim he has that's yours are a soy sauce bottle?
Oh, sorry, Your Honor.
CDs, just a second. A soy sauce bottle, that's what you say in the email. CDs, a tape gun, painting supplies, brush, hand pail rollers. This is what you say in an email.
Yes, as I discovered things were missing, Your Honor.
I'm not interested in as you discovered. Is this the email that you sent to him on January 19th? Soy sauce bottle, CDs, tape gun, painting supplies, and brush.
Yes, a growing list of things that I needed
I'm not
to
interested in your growing list. Get over it, Miss Abel. Listen to me very carefully. It didn't work out. Put your list down. It didn't work out. You paid rent for $1,500 a month for those 6 months that you lived there. Very reasonable, considering you are 2 people. You made that agreement and the fact that it didn't work out, and you did not memorialize an agreement that was more specific with regard to the $1,500 that you were paying him is your problem. You cannot visit that on courts. It didn't work out. Put a period, move on. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right, thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was naive, I was stupid, I made decisions too quickly, and I trusted someone who should not have been trusted.
The thing that was left out was when she moved in, there wasn't 5 dogs. There ended up being 12.
Extremely controlling. I was told how to breathe, how to stand, how fast I had to get pretty in the morning, and not to wear gray sweatshirts ever.
I'm not controlling.
That's who he is, and I just say the next girl needs to watch out.
She's a wonderful gal. It's too bad she left.
I'm glad it's over, and I do trust Judge Judy to make the right decision.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Macias versus Ayala, step forward, please.
Medical coder Alina Macias is suing the mother of her son's schoolmate, business owner Sandra Ayala, for the cost of her son's medical bills and pain and suffering. Alina says Sandra's boy injured her son with a pencil.
Step over there. No, you have...
Yeah, no.
Okay, you too.
What's your first name?
Nathaniel.
And yours?
Jonathan.
Nathaniel, you were injured in school.
Right.
With a pencil.
Yes.
You sat down, according to the complaint. You sat down on your chair, and you were stuck in the rear end with a pencil which lodged in your buttocks and had to be surgically removed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And it is your claim that this young man was responsible.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I assume that you didn't see how the pencil got there. Because if you had seen how the pencil got there, you wouldn't have sat on it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't see how it got there?
No, ma'am.
So Jonathan here is going to tell me, because I read the answer about the flying pencil, but I want him to tell me himself how the pencil got on his chair. So we're going to start from turn around and look at me.
12-year-old Nathaniel Mancha says his classmate, 12-year-old Jonathan Ayala, stuck him with a pencil. Jonathan claims it was an accident.
How old are you?
12.
How do you do in school?
Good.
How is your conduct in school?
Good, too.
Never have any complaints by the teachers?
A little bit only.
Speak up.
A little bit only.
And when the teachers complain about you a little bit only, what do they complain about?
Like sometimes talking and then like a little bit slacking off.
Now, you know Nathaniel, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long has he been in your class?
This year only.
Do you like him?
Uh-huh.
Did you play together?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember the day that he was hurt with the pencil?
Uh-huh. Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how the pencil got on his chair.
Well, I was doing my work and like the pencil was like small, so I didn't want it anymore. So I wanted to throw it to the trash, and
It's just the pencil was small,
yes.
and you're sitting in your seat,
Uh-huh.
and you wanted to throw the pencil in the trash.
Yes.
Where was the trash?
Next to Nate's chair.
And how far away from Nate were you sitting?
At least like 2.5 feet.
So very close.
Uh-huh. But
So now you got this little pencil, and you wanted to throw it away, and the trash was right next to him.
yes, it was right next to his chair.
What were you going to use to complete your work?
Another pencil that I had on my desk, which was bigger.
So you had a little well on your desk where you could keep the pencils?
No, I always put my pencils next to my papers.
Do you have a book bag?
Yeah, in my backpack.
Where is your backpack?
I left it home that day.
What were you wearing to school?
My school emblem shirt and my jeans.
Your shirt have a pocket?
No.
Your jeans have a pocket?
Yeah, but they're tight.
You know you're pretty swift. You think that you're smarter than I am?
No.
You're not, Jonathan. Believe me, you're not. You know where I'm going with these questions?
Uh-huh.
Where do you think I'm going with these questions?
Trying to see if I'm telling the truth or not.
Yeah, trying to see if you could put the pencil someplace else rather than throw. What you're going to tell me is you threw the pencil into the trash. Or
No,
you
I
tried to throw it into the trash.
Yeah, I was going to.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And it landed straight up on Jonathan's chair. And he sat on it. Right?
I didn't land straight on the chair. It was going through the chair when he sat on it because he was...
It was in midair when he sat on it.
Yes, it was pointing up.
How do you got hurt?
Uh-huh.
Well, whose fault do you think that is?
Mine.
Right. Now we're getting somewhere. Why is it your fault?
Because I threw a pencil.
Because you threw the pencil. You had choices. Right?
Uh-huh.
You chose throwing the pencil. Right?
Right.
So whether you threw the pencil and he sat on it or you placed it on his chair as sort of a joke, it's your fault. Right? See, I knew we'd get somewhere. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now you can sit down. I mean, Miss Ayala, quite frankly, you wrote the answer. You told me in the answer that this was nobody's fault. It was the pencil's fault. Next to your mother. It's not the pencil's fault. It's his fault. He had choices. And at age 12, he has to understand that there are consequences to making the wrong choice. His choice was he could have held on to the pencil. He could have put it in his pocket. He could have placed it on the floor. He chose to throw it, according to him, which way out, but you know, not impossible. Certainly not his fault that he sat down on his chair, right?
Right.
So now your son understands that it's his fault and his responsibility that he got hurt. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand.
Perfect. Good. Now can I see his medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of treatment did you get?
They put me under.
Under anesthesia.
Yes. And I had to get the pencil surgically removed from my buttocks.
Did you have any stitches?
Yes.
How many stitches did you have?
1.
Were you uncomfortable for a while?
Yes.
What did Jonathan say after you sat on the pencil? Did he apologize?
No.
Has he ever apologized to you?
No.
Have you spoken to him since this happened?
Yes.
Are you back to being friends?
Yes.
Good. Did you apologize?
No, I never got a chance to.
Well, now's a chance.
Sorry, Nate, for throwing the pencil.
Certainly, Miss Ayala, you don't expect the plaintiff to bear any of the cost of treating her son. They had almost $600 in unreimbursed medical bills, and that you are responsible for. Because as between the two of you, he's innocent and he's not. whether he did it as a joke or whether he did it because he was negligent or because he wasn't thinking. So you are responsible for those medical bills. Are these your only bills?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. That's all.
Parties are accused. You may step versus Bowen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
All right, this is a strange little tale. Let me see if I can put it in perspective. Ms. Dent, the defendant is your son.
Yes.
According to your complaint, there came a time when he wanted to buy a car. You thought it was a good deal. You paid for the car with the understanding that he would pay you back.
Yes.
At the time that the car was purchased, he did not have a driver's license, and the car was not supposed to be driven. It is your claim he did not pay you for the car. To make a long story a little bit shorter, anyway, there came a time when your son was incarcerated. He says that when he was released from jail, that he delivered by messenger a money order. You have not cashed the money order. In the meantime, he says that you made arrangements for the police to be involved. The police impounded the car. There were impound fees of almost $900. So you're suing him for the cost of the car. He's suing you for the cost of the car, plus the impound fees. Is that pretty much the story?
Pretty much.
Now, when was the car purchased?
It was March 3rd was the day that he called me, and it was indeed a good deal.
How much was the car?
When he called me on the phone, it was $100. When I got there, it had gone up to $150 after I had come back from the bank.
$150?
Right.
Is that what you paid for the car?
No, I paid $120.
Well, could somebody explain to me why then you people have filed a lawsuit? You want $1,500 for this car?
Well, that's the value of the car.
Get that out of your head. You paid $120. That's what he was supposed to pay you back. Is that right?
Right.
Did you pay your mother back?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Show me. Your husband received payment for the car, money order. Why didn't you cash it?
My boyfriend received that. I was
Boyfriend?
Yeah, and I wasn't home at the time.
Do you live there?
Yes.
Why didn't you cash the money order?
Because he didn't make me aware of it. The first I knew that there was a money order there was the day the police showed up to my house when he was claiming auto theft.
You mean you don't speak to your boyfriend?
Well, I work. He goes to school. There are days when we don't have words. Yeah.
Well, but now you know about it. So where's the money order?
I have it.
Well, why don't you cash it then? You would have been paid. Now you know that he paid you on time.
Because there's a lot more to the story than that.
Just a minute. One thing at a time. He paid, as a matter of fact, the money order was for $151. So cash the money order and then you've been paid. That was your agreement with him, correct?
Right.
Fine.
He was supposed to pay for that car by April 2nd. It was to stay at my house parked. He had stolen license plates from Mike's Pinto and had put them on this car so he could drive it.
Well, that was terrible.
It was.
You shouldn't have done that.
Your Honor.
You shouldn't have driven the car. You had no license.
That's right.
Right?
Correct.
So, and that breached your agreement with your mother, right?
No, actually, my mother gave me permission to borrow the car.
Listen to me.
I'm sorry.
You have no license. Your mother cannot grant dispensation from state law, which says you require a license to drive. So there may be a lot more to it, but bottom line is, you lent him money for the car. That's what you were suing him for, not $1,500, because that's not what the car cost. And he's paid you.
So
you got your money back. Cash the money order.
Your Honor.
Now let's get to your counterclaim.
I think it's pertinent to address the issue of this whole reason she kept the car came and took the car from me and kept it. I got out of jail May 30th. The money wasn't originally due until April 2nd. She took the car, knew I didn't get paid until April 1st, took the car because I came forward and confessed that I knew that she asked me to help her plant drugs on my stepfather for a paternity case that she was losing, or felt she was losing.
Excuse me?
There is a custody issue with her and my stepfather.
Yes.
Over my brother.
How old is your brother?
He is 4 years old now.
Go ahead.
She asked me to help her get a stolen gun originally for her boyfriend, supposedly, that couldn't own a gun. And I said, why would he want a stolen gun? If he gets caught with it, it's even worse. So I said, what are you trying to do? She said, her husband, ex-husband, is winning the case. She feels he's wrongly winning. Help me get something that's a felony so I can get him to lose. And I helped her, and I'm ashamed of that.
How did you help her?
I called a friend that could help her get some drugs. And
what kind of drugs?
Methamphetamines.
And what'd you do with them?
They were delivered to her house. She paid for them.
Delivered to her house?
Yes. I called her the next day and said, I feel wrong about this. I can't send him to jail. I've gone to jail for stuff that I didn't do because of you. I don't want him to go to jail for this. And I came forward and told him. And she held the car against me, telling my brother, tell Brandon if he changes a statement in court that this is all a lie, that I didn't really do this, then I'll give your car back. And I haven't done so. And I located my car, went there to have it towed out of her witness's yard because I paid her for the money and extra money. I paid her the $25 she filed on me. She wanted me to repay her that. She told me, change your statement, pay me $150, which is $25 more than you actually owe me because I filed on you. It cost me $25, so pay me that.
Filed on you for what?
For the car.
You mean when she filed in small claims court?
Yeah, she wanted me to pay her that $25 back.
The fee?
Yeah, and I called the tow truck, went to go repossess my car out of the yard after it was paid for. The tow truck guy said that she won't let me on her property. I left, came back like 20 minutes later. The tow truck guy was pulling it out, said Stephanie told me to impound it as soon as I left. So they deliberately, out of spite, had it towed when I was there to remove it like 20 minutes before. This is all because I won't lie and say that she didn't do this.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jeannie Dent says her son, Brandon Bowen, owes for the value of a car. Brandon says his mother asked him to frame her ex-husband.
Where's your $120 car?
It is at my house. I got it out of impound. I don't want the money for the car. I just wanted my car back, and I just wanted.
You have it now.
Yeah, I just wanted to pay for the damages. She kept, the lady that had the car, her witness, kept the key. The impound people had to unlock the door and take the ignition out, and all that has to be replaced. I have estimates how much that's going to cost.
Well, how much is it going to cost?
It's going to cost, just for the locks, not including the ignition, all the locks from Chet's Locksmith is going to be $367.
Forget it. Let me explain something to you.
Okay.
I'm not giving you, sir, 3 times the cost of the car to put in a new lock.
I don't want the process of the car. I just.
No, but you understand me? The whole car cost $120.
Yeah.
You think that I'm going to order her to pay $300 and how much?
27.
$27 to put in a new lock? Forget it.
Okay.
Bottom line is, you got your money, you got your car.
Correct.
You don't like each other anymore.
I love my mom.
Well, it certainly doesn't sound like it to me. What were you in jail for, Mr. Bowen?
She alleged that I lived with her for a short period of time, and I was $50 short of paying half of her rent. She told me her new boyfriend doesn't like me. I had to leave because she had a doctor's appointment. I climbed back through my bedroom window. She came home and called the police, and her and my sister made up a story that we stole a bunch of stuff, which is not true, and I went to jail.
Just a minute. What did you go back to jail for recently in March?
That was to serve the last 4 days of the sentence for climbing through her window.
Were you the complainant on that case?
Yes, I was. He broke into my home.
I was living there at
Which
the
is
time.
just one of many things that have happened.
Why do you think that you would be entitled to $1,500?
Because that new contract was signed after constant badgering. He was calling my work, and every time that I would hang up on him, and he'd call back, he would hang up on my boss. My job was at risk. My boss said, this has got to stop.
That's not true.
And it was creating a problem for me. He was calling my house. I'd get 7 phone calls,
child,
5 are hang-ups.
He's your child. He's your child.
Yeah.
And if you bought him a car for $120, and that's what all this fuss is about.
He's my child who's broken into my home, who's stolen money from me.
I don't understand it. Do you have drugs delivered to your house?
No, I did not. And I have a couple statements here. He wrote a statement first and says that the person I'm in this battle with, first he writes a statement and says that this person, Richard, is coercing him to write a statement in lieu of furniture. And he comes to me and tells me that, and I said, well, then maybe you should write that down. So he did, and I have that with me. Then he goes to Richard, the other person, and writes the statement. A couple days later, he's got furniture. Then he comes back and writes another statement and says, well, that was not true, and I recant all that, which I have also.
Sounds like you shouldn't get your child involved in your own domestic court situations, especially when the child is an adult child and doesn't have anything to do with the custody battle that you're currently involved in. Neither you or his stepfather should do that. In any event, you got your money, you got your car. Goodbye, good luck, be well.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Happy life.
He's a drug addict.
I can't believe that someone that was supposed to be my mother would actually sit here and do this and say things like this.
Enough is enough.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Foster Nelson versus Winders Burgess. Step forward, please.
17-year-old Anthony Nelson and his stepfather, 35-year-old pipefitter Scott Foster, are suing Anthony's former friend, 15-year-old James Burgess, and his mother, 41-year-old waitress Kim Winders. Anthony claims James took his quad runner without permission and flipped it.
What's your first name?
Anthony Nelson.
Well, that's your first and your second name. But it goes together. Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
Anthony, you have some sort of a bike. What sort of bike is it?
It's a four-wheeler.
What's a four-wheeler?
It's a quad cab. It's like a motorcycle, but it's got four wheels.
When did you get that?
Early in January, or late January.
Do you ride it?
Yes, ma'am.
How did I know that? Did you ever have one as a child?
I had motorcycles. They didn't have them back then.
But as soon as you saw it, you had to have it.
Oh, yes.
For your son. Right? You understand that?
Yeah.
All right. Just
Guy.
I don't know if I'm disturbing you.
It's a guy. Oh, no. Three-letter word for insect.
Gotcha. According to your complaint, Anthony, the defendant, this young man, was with you one day, and you were with some other people who also had fathers who wanted these four-wheelers, who bought them for their children. And the defendant, without your permission, got on the bike, rode it, had an accident with it, and damaged it. You want him to pay, or his mother to pay. That's what this case is about.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not exactly sure what your defense is. That he gave you permission to ride it, and the cost of fixing it was too much, but I'll get to it in a second. How many boys were you out riding with?
There was four of us all together, ma'am.
How many boys had bikes?
The defendant had a motorcycle, and the rest of us had four-wheelers.
So tell me what happened.
We got out of school early, and a couple of my friends and me, we wanted to go for a ride. Seemed like a nice day. We were out riding for a couple hours, and we decided to go take a break.
Was James with you at the time?
Yes, ma'am. He was one of us that was riding with us. We went back to Michael's house, my friend, to take a break. We were in his driveway talking, and the defendant got on my four-wheeler and took off in reverse without asking my permission to get on it. And we ran out after him, but he was already too far out, and you couldn't hear us because of the motor. And by then, he hit the back brake and locked up the axle and flipped the four-wheeler over. We ran out to see if he was all right. We picked the four-wheeler up, looked over it. We talked about it a little bit. He said, all right, I'll pay for the damages, and we'll go and call RTD, that's the dealership. We'll call RTD and see how much it is, and we'll handle it from there.
What parts were damaged?
The plastic was all scratched up. The front steering column was bent. The whole brake assembly was ruined. We had to replace that. It wasn't rideable. You couldn't ride it.
So you got an estimate?
Yes, ma'am.
From the place where you would purchase the bike?
Yes.
Can I see the estimate, please?
Here's the letter stating that it was in brand new condition. Here's the repair order, and here's what I actually bought so that we could continue to ride it.
The entire cost of repairing the bike is $918?
Yes, ma'am.
What's $1,027.11?
That was for my time off of work. I took a day off, or half day off when I figured we were going to court, and my labor's a lot cheaper than theirs.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear you.
Ma'am, I did have permission to ride the four-wheeler. We were all sitting in the driveway. We were standing talking around. Mike just got back from riding it. Mike took it down the road, come back. I go, Anthony, can I ride it? He goes, hold on 1 minute, let it cool down. A few minutes later, I asked him. He said yes. I was backing down the driveway. I hit the rear brake, and the four-wheeler came back. I jumped to the side of the four-wheeler.
You damaged the bike, right?
Yes.
So why shouldn't you pay for it?
I feel it was equal responsibility on both parts.
Why is that?
I've had people blow my stuff up. I got a YZ 125 in '96, and I've had people blow it up, and I've always replaced everything anybody else.
Then you're a good guy. But if you borrow somebody's car and you wreck it, and unless there's insurance that covers it, it's your responsibility.
Yes.
The fact that he said that you could drive it doesn't relieve you of that responsibility. You want to say something?
Yes. The main reason we're here is from the discrepancy in what was supposed to be wrong with the four-wheeler. They went to my house, they called RTD, said it was just the clutch lever, or brake lever, and it was $87.
They called and said, this looks like it's wrong with the bike, right?
Yes.
And they said, well, if that's all that's wrong with the bike, and it's $87.
Yes.
But clearly when they took the bike down there...
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, there turned out to be a lot more damage to the bike.
He came to my house, the father and the son came to my house a few weeks afterwards with an estimate of $400 and some. and he said, "Your son did this. Will you pay it?" And I said, "What happened to the $87?" And he got mad, upset, and I said, "No, I won't pay the $400 dollars it was." So he went to go out of my driveway. He threatened my son.
He threatened to beat my. His exact words. He goes, "Your ass is beat."
He threatened my son, and
That's not
at that
that's
time.
not good.
At that time, it was $400, 400 and some odd dollars.
Did you ever give them an estimate of 400 some odd
No,
dollars?
I did not, ma'am. I walked to her door to ask her to pay this damages, and her exact words. I'm sorry.
That's
I'm a little
not,
upset.
that's not what I'm asking you. She said that you showed her a bill at one point for $400.
No, ma'am. She wouldn't even look at it. That's the actual estimate I gave her. She wouldn't even look
Well,
at
this
it.
is dated March the 2nd, which
Correct.
is shortly after the accident.
Correct.
He must have went and got that after he left my house. What he brought to my house was $400 and some dollars.
What date did he come to your house?
You know what it was?
I'm not exactly sure what date he come to my house, but all the kids at school knew it was $427. And then we got the statement in the mail that was that $900. It's like $1,027.
Okay. Has the bike been fixed?
I fixed the steering part so that we could ride it.
And how much did you spend on the steering?
You have the paperwork
Is that
up
the
there?
second bill?
Yes, ma'am.
$219?
Yes, I believe that's what it was.
All right. And the rest of it has not been done?
No, ma'am.
It's very, very easy. I'm entering an initial order of $219.73. And what you folks will do, since you all live in the same neighborhood, is we'll pick a date. You all go down to RTD Motorsports and satisfy yourself what the bill is. I will enter a maximum order in the amount of $918 to be held until the both of you go down and satisfy yourself what the bill is. Do you understand? Does that sound fair to you? I mean, no, it doesn't sound fair to you. He says he had permission. It's his responsibility. He wrecked the bike. And if he wants to be a good guy and take care of it when other people wreck his bikes, that's up to you. You wreck this one, it's your responsibility. The only difference is the cost of repair. And I don't think that you can exaggerate the cost of repair. You actually spent $219, that you get. Then 5 days from today, you boys make arrangements with your parents, if necessary, to go down to RTD Motors, see what it's going to cost to fix the bike for a maximum of total $918, and then the court will enter judgment in that amount. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Court will draft the order. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Down on the calendar in the matter of Bledsoe versus Ha. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Bledsoe, you and the defendant were involved in a relationship, according to what I read in your complaint. There came a time when you needed a cell phone.
Correct.
You didn't have sufficient credit to get one yourself. And Ms. Ha said that she would get one for you, as long as you agreed to pay the bills.
Mm-hmm.
She got a second phone on her account, or was this an account that you had solely for him?
No, it was already, and he took it over.
It was already in existence.
Mm-hmm.
And then you started a business.
Correct.
And you didn't have an office, per se, so that your cell phone was your office.
Correct. We're a mobile service.
So that you had business cards and stationery printed up, all with the cell phone number on it.
Yes.
What kind of business is this, Mr. Bledsoe?
We manufacture and install a paint protection film for cars. It's otherwise known as a clear bra. It's on the front of the cars to protect them from getting rock chips.
From getting what?
From getting rock chips and damage on the front of the car.
This is a lucrative business?
Yes.
And then the two of you broke up.
Correct.
This is what your lawsuit is about. You say that because Ms. Ha refused to let you keep the number, to keep the account going, and you lost the number, not only did you lose a lot of business, but all of the cards that you had printed up and the stationery that you had printed up are no good anymore because you had to get a different phone.
Right.
Explain to me, sir, how this is a lawsuit.
All right. We had broken up in March of 2004, and until December of this past year, I was still paying the cell phone bill, still using the phone. She had contacted me and said that she wanted to get the cell phone out of her name, and I said, that's fine. And the following day, we were going to meet down at the Singular store because I needed her to go in and say it was okay for me to have that phone number. And so she agreed to go down there. She didn't show up that day. Then after we tried to meet and she wouldn't come, and eventually she said, I'm not going to give you the number. My brother, who's also a partner in business, also spoke with her on the phone for about 45 minutes one day trying to see what we could do to maintain this number, and she just refused to do it. We ended up
that month of February going 33 days without any business due to not having anybody being able to contact us through the new number.
Mr. Bledsoe, let's say I believe everything that you said to me. What you're complaining about is that she wasn't being a nice person, right?
Correct. Correct. She knew without a doubt that without giving me that number, she knew she would hurt business.
Where is her legal obligation to give you that number?
I guess there's no legal obligation that she had to give me that number.
That's true. But Ms. Ha has a counterclaim. She says you weren't paying the bill.
The very last bill, I did not pay the very last bill.
And what month was the very last bill, Mr. Bledsoe?
The cell phone was turned off in middle of January, so it would have been the December to January.
When did you get that bill, Ms. Ha?
Well, I received several bills, and I actually agreed to let him keep the phone as long as he paid for the bill. His brother first told me beg, and I said, nope, I'm not going to give him the phone. And I totally refused, and then finally, I said, you know what, you can keep the phone, just pay for the bill. I texted him, I said, you can keep the phone. He even texted me back and said, I appreciate that you're going to let me keep the phone. I thought everything was going to be squared away, he was going to go pay for it. He still didn't pay for it. So
well, let me see the bill.
This is
just the one. Are they all outstanding bills?
No, I'm sorry.
Well, then just give me one thing. I'm getting older by the minute. You owed her $497.57.
Originally, she had said that her mother was going to use that phone. Therefore, when I switched the numbers over, there wasn't going to be any cancellation fee or anything like that. Because she drew it out over a 3-week period of time, not deciding whether she wanted to give me a number or not, then they canceled the phone and they added on a $200 cancellation.
They canceled the phone after 3 months, not 3 weeks.
Had he been paying the bill regularly?
Yes, well, it was never on time, but he was until the last.
Well, why do you think, Mr. Bledsoe, that after she said she would let you keep the phone, she decided against it?
If you like, if I could bring my brother up, because he spoke with her directly about that question.
Your name?
My name's Craig Bledsoe. I spoke to Michelle. She agreed to give the number, and I don't know what her problem was, but all of a sudden she wouldn't do it. And then she would, and then she wouldn't.
Just a second.
Yes.
That's a lie.
Mr. Bledsoe.
Yes.
Try looking at me.
Okay.
This is not an audition for an acting class, sir.
Okay.
Did she ever say to you, you owe a bill?
No.
Is not an answer.
Oh,
did she ever say to you, you owe a bill?
She never said to me that I owe a bill. Yes, he owes a bill.
Okay.
Correct.
Now, come back to you. Did you ever have a discussion about paying the bill?
Yes.
Well, that's the problem, sir. There was some misunderstanding and miscommunication about paying the last bill.
I had no problem paying the bill and, in fact, offered her money so that we could have that phone because that phone number is so crucial to our business.
Mr. Bledsoe, how many months after you broke up, or she broke up with you, who broke up with who?
It was mutual.
Mutual. How much after the breakup did this incident occur in December? When did you break up?
In March.
So for a long time, you had the phone.
That's correct.
And for a long time, there was no problem.
Correct. The problem arose when Michelle and I were dating. We had 2 cars repossessed. I felt responsible for it. Therefore, I had told her that I would give her $250 a month towards her car payment as long as I could afford it. Therefore...
What do you mean you felt responsible? Why did you feel responsible?
Because we were living together and I was using the car.
Both cars.
And so therefore...
Go ahead. He was using...
I got him 2 cars, and he got them both repossessed. And countless of that, like credit cards he used to take to strip clubs, everything. And I saw a statement... Yeah.
Not true.
Just to sit down. Now I don't need you anymore.
Fair enough, but I got a lot to say about her side of the story.
I mean, I would see things on my statements.
So that things started to get nasty before.
Things have been nasty.
Is that right? Before. In any event, Mr. Bledsoe, Ms. Ha has no legal obligation to permit you to keep a cell phone in her name and allow you to keep the number. There is no legal obligation. Being a nice person, she could have done it. She chose not to, even if there wasn't an issue with regard to the final cell phone bill. So you don't have a legal case against her. Moral, maybe, but this is not moral court. It's a legal court. Understood?
Yes.
Very good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's your printer?
No, that's not my printer.
Do me a favor, Bird. Take a look at the receipt and see if it's the same make and model. Oh, I can't believe I went to law school for this.
And later today...
I felt sorry for her that she was with him.
You know who the only person I feel sorry for right now?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jared Bledsoe says ex-girlfriend Michelle Ha owes for maliciously cutting off his cell phone. Michelle says Jared tried to skip out on the bill.
Now, let's get to your counterclaim. As I said, I'm not deciding whether or not you were nice, you were not nice. All I want to know is how much he owes on the past due phone bill.
$497.
No, that's with the cancellation fee. I want it without the cancellation fee.
$342.48.
Good. $342.48. That's what you owe, sir.
We had had a dispute about printer and a computer, so we had brought that to give to her.
Officer Bird will take care of that. That's your printer?
Can you turn it around, please? No, that's not my printer.
Oh, gosh.
I have a printer. It's a gray and black one, and when I got a computer, it came with it. And then when he gave me back my computer, he never gave me back my printer. And I have the receipt right here.
Do me a favor, Bird. Take a look at the receipt that she has and see if it's the same make and model. Oh, I can't believe I went to law school for this.
That was a Lexmark?
Yeah.
Mr. Bledsoe, does this one work or not work?
It works.
Good. Give it to her. Perfect. He owes you $342.48 for his phone bill. There's your printer. Bye. Good luck. Are you back in business?
Yes, we are.
Good. Good luck to you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I wanted to do this civilly, and he wouldn't take care of it outside, so he likes attention, so I gave it to him.
As moral as she tries to act and she is, what would the moral thing have been to do in that situation?
I just want all ties cut with him.
I just think it's sad that this world's full of selfish people that are ignorant about the things that they do in their life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Austin versus Atwater Mayfield. Step forward, please.
26-year-old retail salesperson Courtney Austin is suing her former friend, maintenance technician Fred Atwater, and his fiancée, 23-year-old restaurant manager Sylvia Mayfield, for collect calls from jail, gas money, and lost wages. Fred and Sylvia are countersuing for harassment.
Miss Austin.
Yes.
According to your complaint, you and Mr. Atwater dated for a little while. Then he went to jail.
Yes.
Why is that funny?
Because we never dated, Your Honor. It was just
I said to her, according to her complaint,
Okay.
the two of you dated for a while and then you went to jail. I didn't think the going to jail part was funny. And while he was in jail, he made a series of collect calls to you.
Correct.
And it went something like this. He would call you and ask you to connect him on a three-way call
Correct.
to this lady here.
Initially, it was his sister.
Well, that's what he told you.
That's what he told me.
But I said to
Yes.
this lady here,
Yes.
who happens to be his fiancée or girlfriend.
Yes.
Shh. Now, every time he called you collect, it cost you $2.70.
Correct.
So you want him to pay for that.
Correct.
And then after you found out that he had this girlfriend, somehow you became friendly enough with her so that she asked you to drive her up to jail to pay his bail.
Correct.
And not only did you do that once, you did it twice.
Correct.
And now, Miss Austin, you're bothering me because you want the money back for the collect calls that you accepted and your gas and time when you took her to jail.
That he said he was going to pay for.
Let's go back. You met him when?
He introduced himself by leaving this note on my car.
Okay. Where did he see you?
He works in my complex.
Okay. So it worked. I didn't have to see that. He left a note on your car.
Yes.
You got to know him. According to him, you were friends. According to you, you dated for a little while. What I want to get to is, because I have other things to do today, and this isn't particularly fascinating to me. When women do stupid things, I get frustrated. At first, he told you, when he went to jail, by the way, what did you go to jail for?
Child support order.
Drug abuse and hitting her.
Was it a civil commitment or a criminal commitment?
It was civil.
Civil.
You hit her, and that's how you got in jail.
Shut up! He told you when he called you from jail that the person he wanted you to connect him to was his sister. How many such phone calls did you accept under the assumption that you were connecting him to his sister?
One.
And after that, you heard that it was his girlfriend.
No, I didn't know it was his girlfriend until she called me back trying to figure out who was three-waying the calls for him.
And how many calls had you accepted up until that time?
2 or 3.
And how many did you accept after you knew that she was the girlfriend?
It says here 35.
So, now we know that he's lied to you.
Yes.
And he's in jail.
Yes.
Why would you believe that he's going to pay you for these calls when he's lied to you about who the person is?
He's not from that area. Me just moving from Los Angeles to Georgia, I was trying to put myself in his position, needing a friend. So I was trying to look out for him. It wasn't like I was trying to make him my husband, my man, or anything like that. We were friends. And in that, he told me that he had after I found out he had a girlfriend, and I took her, I felt sorry for her that she was with him.
You know who the only person I feel sorry for right now? Miss Austin, how much did it cost you, all this stupidity of yours? How much in phone calls?
Between 150 and 175.
No, between 150 and 175 is not an answer when you're in court.
150. $150.
Now, Mr. Atwater,
Yes, ma'am.
who's supposed to pay that $150?
Well, since we were friends, I appreciate the call she did herself for me, but
Why didn't she collect the call?
They ain't have a phone at their house.
Quiet.
for one thing, Your Honor, we had a cell phone. We didn't have a household phone then at the time, and we can't make collect calls to her. So I thought I would call her, and she was notified before she accepted the call, $270 per call. She had an option to hang
It
up
does
or
not
accept
say that.
If you say one more word, I'm just going to throw you out. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good.
She was opted to either accept the call or not to.
Did you tell her that you would pay her back for these
I never
calls?
told Courtney I would pay her. She told me every time I would call her and she do the three-way, she'll tell me to hang up and call right back.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, like you get 15 minutes for $2.70. So after the 15 minutes is up, she would tell me to hang up and call right back.
And you would do that?
Yes.
She
And
accept the call every time.
I didn't.
Sorry.
Am I looking in your direction?
No.
Mr. Atwater?
Yes.
Is it your statement to me that you never said to Miss Austin, please do this collect calls because we have no phone in our house, so if you do this for me, I'll pay you back when I get out?
I never told her I was going to pay her.
I don't believe that. See, that I don't believe. That I don't believe. I believe you told her you'd pay her back for the phone calls. That's
Your
one
Honor.
bit of stupidity. You may not have meant it, Mr. Atwater.
Your Honor.
I'm speaking. What did you ever do for her?
I never did anything for her.
That's what I mean. Why in the world?
Because we were friends, Your Honor. That's all we were, friends.
I'm speaking. Did Miss Mayfield know that she was your friend?
Not at the time. She was in Miami at the time.
Exactly.
And I did.
Quiet! Just to answer my question. I said, did Miss Mayfield know that Miss Austin was your fiancée? And you said no. That's the only information that I need. Now, as far as taking her to and from the jail, tell me how that came about. Fast!
Basically, he told me that he was going to pay me the money when he got out. She needed to go pay his bail money. She had $500. His employer put up the other $500. I took her to go get the money from the employer. We went. We didn't make it that day. I had to take her back the next day to go pay his bail. They wouldn't release him because he had a drug charge and he had hit her, which is originally why he went to jail. Then we had to go the next day, something about getting his clothes because the county would put him in jail.
You didn't have to do anything.
No, I didn't. I did it out of goodness of my heart.
That's right. So then don't bother me about it if you did it
No,
out of the
he
goodness
told
of
me
your
he was
heart.
going to pay me for it. It wasn't like he said he was going to pay
Miss
me for my
Austin?
trouble.
Miss Austin, you did not have a contract with Mr. Atwater, and you certainly
I
didn't
do
have
have one
contract
right
with
here.
Mayfield.
Yes, I do.
Good, then let me see it. Exactly what I said, Miss Austin. It says you can threaten us all you want. We'll pay for your phone bill. Nowhere does it say that they're going to pay for you taking her to and from jail. I believe that he said to you, if you accept these collect calls, I'll
Your Honor, may I speak?
put your hand down. That he agreed to pay for the phone bill, but for nothing else. So that's your claim, $150. Now you have a counterclaim for harassment.
Yes.
Get to it fast.
Okay, and that statement right there, what she has on the second page, that was after she brought the cops to our house. So we put it in writing. The cop told her to go ahead, take it to the courtroom and file the claim.
Put
And
your
she
hand down.
did that.
Just a second.
And she did
You
that.
said here, I'm going to pay you the money for the phone bill. Stop bothering me.
Exactly.
Right.
But she never stopped.
Let's get to your counterclaim. You've got a counterclaim for harassment for $500. I'm going to hear you. 10 seconds or less.
The harassing emails, taking notes to our door, bringing the cops to our apartment complex where that is not tolerated. We cannot have no kind of commotion going on.
Why didn't you pay her phone bill?
Because I never did tell her that, Your Honor.
I
never
don't
did
believe
tell
that.
her.
And she was trying to collect a debt. You're not supposed to take advantage of people, Mr. Atwater.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to take advantage of people's feelings and emotions. One girlfriend is in Florida. One friend is here. Friendships usually work both ways. She does a favor for you, you do a favor for her. You did no favors for her. You were a taker. You have to pay her back for the phone. Put your hand down. Are you still bothering them?
No.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. Your counterclaim's dismissed.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Who are you?
Brenda Hastings. I'm Michelle's mother.
How old is Michelle?
17.
Okay. Miss Miller, Michelle is your son's girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your son.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're really suing your son and his girlfriend. Her mother is here because she's a minor.
Yes, ma'am.
It appears from what I've read that you decided to rent a house. You were
Yes,
separating from your husband or something like that.
Yes, ma'am.
And that your son and his girlfriend said that they wanted to come and live with you. You say that this didn't work out, but they owe you for back rent. They owe you for money that they put on your credit card. They have a counterclaim. And their counterclaim involves both of their cars, which they say that you took, you hid, and caused damage to.
No, ma'am.
So that's what the case is about. Very complicated. When did you decide to rent this house?
About the second week of September.
And what was the rent on the house?
$575 a month.
And what was your arrangement with your son and his girlfriend?
I had planned on moving. My husband and I were just going to separate for a little while to work out some differences. There was a duplex that I had been waiting on that was around the corner from the house. My 15-year-old son had told Charlie here that we were moving, and Charlie indicated to him that he needed a place to go. He was tired of the stuff at Brenda's house. I had talked to Charlie.
He had been living with you? Is that right? How old are you?
19.
I had talked to Charlie and told him that was fine. There was no mention of Michelle at the time. That came up later with Charlie saying that she don't really act like she acts, but she'll act better when she's not around her mother. I thought about it for a while, and I said, well, we'll give it a try.
This is a lot of information that I really don't need.
Okay. Well, I went up and asked the landlord, and the landlord said they were renting it.
Okay, fine. So you decided to rent it, and you decided to let the two of them move in with you.
Right.
And what was the financial arrangement with them?
We would go on the rent 3 ways.
Did you discuss that with her mother?
No, ma'am.
And you knew she was 17?
Her mother had put her out. They wanted both. They had asked several times for both of these to put them out. And my young son here, Derek,
Miss Miller,
can tell you.
That's not my question. My question was, you knew that Michelle was 17.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Michelle cannot enter into a contract with you because she's a minor. So if you did not have an agreement with her mother to pay a third of the rent, you cannot sue Michelle for a third of any rent that you believe she owes you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's do away with that. Now, so let's deal with your son. Did your son give you any money towards the rent?
No, ma'am. He gave me $150 to help put on deposits on the utilities.
So he gave you $150?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did they live in the house?
6 weeks.
3 weeks.
6 weeks.
And when did you move out of the house?
The 28th.
Of September?
Yes, ma'am.
Charlie did not move out of that house until the 10th of October.
I moved out the 28th.
You stayed there. You were on the run from the police.
Just a second. Miss Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
What rent do you believe your son owes you?
For him and Michelle, then it should have been half of the $575.
No. Miss Miller. He's supposed to pay a third of the rent, right?
Right. But I have a 15-year-old at home that these two here complained what was his part of the rent because he was getting child support.
Did you move in with another child?
The 15-year-old moved in shortly after these two did. He didn't stay there all the time, but he was there.
What about you? Did you move in?
I didn't move in until the 24th of
September. September?
No, August. Oh, no, it was September. I'm sorry. I didn't even stay there half of the time.
Miss Miller,
stayed maybe a whole week
Miss
out of
Miller, did you move in August 24th or September 24th?
September 24th.
Okay. Well, let's go to the credit cards that you say that they used. How did they come to have possession of your credit cards?
They didn't have possessions. We had an agreement. I have a letter from the landlord because Mrs. Hastings was putting them out. We had an agreement to try to get the house livable for them to live in so they had a roof over their heads. And
you're talking about credit cards, Miss Miller. Let me hear about the credit cards money.
I put my credit cards, to get the house in order for them to live in, they had to have floors, it had to have cabinets, it had to have everything. The house was gutted out. It had to have everything.
So is that what was put on your credit card?
Yes.
So why do you think they should pay for that?
because we're in agreement. If Mrs. Hastings put them out.
Stop saying Mrs. Hastings put them out. It doesn't make any difference whether she put them out or not. Now, am I correct?
It does make a difference.
No,
Yes,
it doesn't make a difference legally.
Her mother put them out. He didn't have a place to go. He cannot go to my house that I own. My husband will not let him stay there. He's already ripped us off. He's breaking into the house. He's broken into the garage. He's not allowed on the property. Okay?
Miss Miller.
I did what I could to get him a roof over his head.
Miss
and I
Miller,
got
you're his
repaid.
mother. Listen to me. You're his mother.
Excuse me, ma'am. But this boy, I've got papers. This boy has been in and out of jail, detentions. He was stolen from me when he was 14 months old. I've got legal documents, Charlie, to prove it all.
Miss Miller.
He's on drugs. I've tried for years to get him help, okay?
Miss Miller, listen to me. I understand that you have a frustration with him.
If you've helped him out as much as I have in a lifetime, you would too.
Miss Miller, listen to me. If Miss Hastings allowed your son to come and live in her house with her 17-year-old daughter, then she's got rocks in her head and probably decided she had had enough. Bottom line, that's your son. It's not her son. And if she had had enough of him and was putting him out, and her daughter Michelle says, I'm not staying here without him, then she says, you want to go with him? Go with him.
He's been living there with her since she was 15 and he was 17.
You want to know something?
And she's put him out 3 times.
Miss
And
Miller.
I have been there.
Miss
Charlie.
Miller. Miss Miller.
Yeah, okay.
Miss Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
This is your son. And if she's put him out 3 times, and if he was living there from the time he was 17 years old, it had to have been because you and your husband put him out.
Exactly. No, he left on his... No, you left on your own
Miss
because
Miller,
you
don't
were
talk
on
to him.
drugs, Charlie.
Miss
You were
Miller,
selling drugs
1, 2,
out of my
3.
house.
Miss Miller.
And I called the police
Put her
on you.
outside.
That's why you left.
Put her outside. I'm going to let you cool off outside, Miss Miller.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bettina Miller says her son Charlie Washington, his girlfriend Michelle Hastings, and Michelle's mother Brenda owe for rent and repairs to her home.
Miss Miller, you can't talk to your son. This is not time for you to shout at your son when you're in a court. Time to do that is when you had him in therapy when he was 7 years old. If your son had been giving you problems and moved out of your house, whether you put him out of your house or whether he left voluntarily, you knew where he was living with the Hastings family and their daughter. That was probably a major error on their part. Some people do that. I never quite understand why they take in somebody else's problem into their home. But be that as it may, if you decided that you wanted to put a roof over your son's head as his mother, that's what your job is. That kind of unconditional love is what you do for a child, even if they drive you crazy. Are you currently living in the house?
No, ma'am.
Did you decide to go back to your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you are now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where you're going to stay, you think?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about the cars. You took your son's car out of impound?
I paid to get it out, yes, ma'am.
What'd you do with it?
Set it in my backyard.
And what happened to it?
It sat there until the day that he came and threatened me. And then I took it down on the corner where I told him and the police officer that I would set it and left the keys in it, that in the Nissan.
And somebody stole it?
I don't know.
Well, it wasn't found on the corner, is that right?
I don't know where they found it at.
Where did you find your car?
I found mine in a ditch on Orville Smith.
It was not in a ditch. I got pictures of where I left it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So what you're saying is somebody took the car after you left it there with the keys in it. Why'd you leave it there with the keys in it?
There was no keys in it.
There was keys in it.
Crazy.
When you left it, the keys were in it. So I'm asking you, why did you leave it with the keys in the car?
He came, he harassed me. I didn't want him on the property. And for him to come and get the keys, then he would have to come on the property. And I talked to him in the back of the police car and told him.
What were the police doing there?
I called him because he threatened me.
When did he threaten you?
When he came to the house.
Was this after he had moved out of the rental house?
No, he was in jail. He had just gotten out October 31st, and I didn't know he was out of jail.
What was he in jail for?
Theft of property from an auto and breaking and entering of an auto.
What were you in jail for?
Assault the third.
He was also in jail for that.
Assault the third.
Who did you assault?
My girlfriend.
You ever arrested for breaking and entering?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
In '97.
What about auto theft?
Yes, ma'am.
So you got his car out of impound, you told the police he had threatened you, you were taking the car, you were parking it at the corner, you were leaving the keys in the car, and that's the last you know of the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And you found the car when you got out of jail, sir?
I did.
Where did you find it?
It's on Orville Smith Road. She parked it in the edge of the woods.
No, she doesn't park it anywhere. You found it there. You didn't see
I found
it.
it there.
You found it there.
I got out and I looked and I turned around and I went back to my house. And I brought him down there and he couldn't find no keys nowhere in the car.
Well, maybe somebody who stole the car took the keys after they finished joyriding in the car. What about your car?
Well, my mother and my father found it in a hayfield.
What makes you think that Miss Miller took your car?
Because she stole the keys out of my purse. I didn't have it in my possession.
No, I did not steal the keys from her purse. This key goes to a car of Charlie's that he has in their yard. I don't know if it runs or not, but it was on this key ring with this key. And when I talked to Charlie on the phone after he had beat up Michelle, he told me one of them keys went to the car. And that's how I got the car.
So what did you do with the car?
Charlie explained for me to take the car to my house and park it and not to let Michelle have the car.
You mean her car?
No, it's his car. It's legally in his name.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is your car, the car that you're talking about, that you're suing over, in whose name is that car titled?
His.
You have two cars titled in your name?
Yes, ma'am.
What year cars are they?
94 and 87.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I was working at Arby's.
At Arby's? Who bought the cars?
I bought one, she bought one. But she wasn't old enough to put it in her name, so I signed for it.
Why didn't her mother sign for it?
Because they went and got it without me. I was at work. They went looking at cars. They picked up one and she bought it.
Miss Hastings,
yes.
Is he still living in your house?
He is right now, yeah.
You had him arrested for beating up your daughter. You've thrown him out of your house at least 3 times.
No.
He left your house 3 times in the last 2 years. You took him into his house, into your house when he was 17 years old. Since he was 17 years old, he's been arrested several times, according to him, for a variety of things. Breaking and entering, auto theft, assaulting your daughter. Would you kindly tell me what kind of medication you're on? Because I want to take some. If you don't see that he's not right for her.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. But Tina Miller says her son Charlie Washington, his girlfriend Michelle Hastings, and Michelle's mother Brenda owe for rent and repairs to her home.
Miss Hastings, he's not right for her.
He may not be right for her, but everybody has to make their own choices. And
Hey. Everybody has to make their own choices once they're an adult. Until you're an adult, your parents help you make those choices, and they don't do things that encourage you to make bad choices.
Well, Tina has put her son out several times.
Tina's son is a bum. Was your daughter a bum when she was 15?
No, my daughter was in school when she was 15.
Is she still in school?
She's going to night classes.
No. Before she met him, she was in school.
Yeah, but she...
After she met him, she's not in school.
Had nothing to do with him.
Oh, listen, Miss Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to give you some words of advice. Is this the first child that you've had that's been in trouble?
Yes, ma'am.
You think you know how to deal with it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how you're dealing with it.
I work with it the best I can.
My advice to you is you be there as a backup in case of an emergency, in case something bad happens. But until he grows up and stops doing things that are both harmful to himself, to the people that care about him, and to you, he's going to have to make his own mistakes. If you put yourself in a financial position where you've stretched your finances, it's a foolish thing to do. Because what will happen is he will never be forced to grow up. You tell me you put him out of the house, or he left the house when he was 15. The Hastings took him in. And when the Hastings decided to put him out, you provided a roof over his head. He's never had to grow up and face responsibility. Had 2 cars titled in his name, working at Arby's.
Well, he didn't buy the car. The Firebird was given to him as a gift by me and my husband. I did not put him out of the house. He had a choice. He could go to jail or he could go back to Michigan to his dad. He took off on his own. He was on the run. We did look for him.
He stayed with a friend of his up in a trailer, drinking, getting high. The owner of the trailer came to our house, wanted to know what was up. We went up there. He was gone.
Okay. Ms. Hastings, I've already told you what I think of the fact that you allowed him to move back into your house after he beat up your daughter. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Absolutely the dumbest. And if your daughter wants to be dumb enough to take off with him, as you said, people make their own choices. But you're making it real comfortable for her to do things that ultimately are going to be devastating.
It doesn't matter in what they have done. I mean, it's the car situation. It's her having them to move into a rental house because her marriage, she moved
I'm not, listen to me. I'm not dealing with your lawsuits. Both of your lawsuits are nonsense. Hers, she cannot convince me that her son owes her any money. With regard to the cars, you have no proof whatsoever that your mother took your car, put it in a ditch. She says that after an argument with you, she told the police, I'm putting the car on the street corner with the keys in it. I don't want him anywhere near my house. A reasonable explanation is that somebody walked by, saw the keys in the car, took it for a joyride, and trashed it. I think that both of you, but especially you, Miss Hastings, I don't understand you at all. What do you do all day, sir?
Now,
Now.
go to school
No, you don't.
at night.
I asked you what you did during the day. Don't tell me that you go to school at night. What do you do all day?
Hunt for jobs.
Hunt for jobs. Michelle, what do you do all day?
Work.
Where?
At Walmart.
You work 5 days a week?
8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
And you come home and he's watching TV? Michelle, look at me. You come home and he's watching TV?
I don't know what he does during the day.
Michelle, before you get pregnant, get smart. You'll be working at Walmart, 9 months pregnant, and he's going to be sitting home playing with Nintendo that you will have bought him for Christmas. Get smart.
Of Montano versus Martinez. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Montano, you and the defendant were in a sort of an on-again, off-again relationship. According to your complaint, the defendant ran into some financial difficulty surrounding his mortgage payment on a house that he had purchased. He asked you for a loan. You gave him a loan. Shortly thereafter, your relationship terminated. You want him to pay you back for that specific loan and for some other credit card charges that he made. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
The defendant acknowledges that you took out a loan from which he made a mortgage payment and paid some other bills, was far less than you're suing him for. Says that he repaid you some of the money, $500, and he has a counterclaim for property that he said that you are withholding from him that is worth several $1,000s. Is that what this is about?
Yes.
Okay. Were you living together in his house at the time that you took out this loan?
No, Your Honor, we were at my house in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
But you had purchased a house?
Yes. I was working in Albuquerque, so it was very convenient for me to be with her at her house for the community.
But you had purchased a house when?
December of '99.
How much money did you advance him for the mortgage payments?
The loan, Your Honor, was for $4,456.
$4,456. Now listen to me carefully. Did you give him all of that money, or did you use some of that money to pay some of your own bills?
I used $300 of it to pay like the electric bill and the water bill. $300 of it was mine. The rest of it was Saul's.
Did you give it to him in a check?
It was cash. I have documentation of as the whole pack. This is the loan, $650. That's with interest and everything. And the only reason I agreed to borrow that loan, Your Honor, is because he promised and he swore that he would pay every single payment. I borrowed it on August the 8th of 2000, and September the 9th of 2000, he was gone, packed up and left my trailer home exactly 30 days to the date.
How many house payments was he behind?
A couple.
No, it was only one, Your Honor. It wasn't behind. I was going to be late because of the fact that my pay period landed past the due date.
Well, bill collectors were already calling my home, Your Honor, so And the reason it's for $4,000 is well, my loan. This is my friend. She's a loan officer that loaned the money to me at Beneficial Financial.
Yes.
And that's with interest and everything. And he knew that interest was going to be piled up on top of that loan, and it didn't matter to him. He said, whatever it takes, I will pay it back.
Who's the loan officer at the bank? Step up, please. Tell me your name.
Lisa Polk.
And you are a friend of the plaintiffs?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the two of them come in together?
No, ma'am. The transaction was initiated by Militia calling me and telling me that her boyfriend had seen her mail and that we had sent out a flyer to her approving her for a loan, and she wanted to go ahead and carry through with that loan because he needed help. On that document that you're looking at, you can see that we have Saul Martinez underneath her name, and then I also highlighted the area where it says roommate and boyfriend. We tried to run the loan on his credit. It didn't go through, so we just used his income to bump up her annual income so that she could apply for more money for him.
Your Honor, he also used some of that money to purchase school clothes for his son.
I paid. Those are the $500 she cannot remember that I
He did not pay me back no $500, Your Honor. As
Yes,
a matter
I
of
did.
fact, it says there's a letter that I wrote to him, trying to see if we could work things out in an honorable way so that I could get on with my life, because he has been the whole year and a half that we were together. He was unfaithful.
I don't care about his being unfaithful. That's your problem.
Well, it says on
I also
over here
have a
where it
copy
says,
of the letter that she wrote.
Yeah, I
she wrote
have
me
it.
also.
I have the same
stating
letter.
Can I see it, please?
Of the amount of money she's asking for.
Can I see it, please? I don't want to see it.
And it is nowhere totals up to $4,000.
Your Honor.
Just a minute. You wrote him this letter. And you say in this letter, I borrowed $2,000 plus $1,700 was for the house payment and school clothes. The rest I used for my bills. Now, a reading of that statement, Ms. Montano, is that he borrowed $1,700 and the rest, the $2,000, you used for your own bills.
No, ma'am, I did not use.
Well, I want you to read it, look at it very carefully.
I did not use $2,000 for my own bills.
And
that's what happens when you don't have a note, madam. That's what happens when you don't have a note, when you don't have some agreement in writing.
Your Honor, I was the loan officer, and I can vouch that she did come in and ask for this money for her boyfriend. That's why her boyfriend was on it.
Just a second. Was he there?
No, he sent me.
Just a second.
I was working.
He wasn't there.
No, ma'am.
He wasn't there. So she may have said she needed it, and she got more money because of his salary. That was your problem, because you're the loan officer. I wouldn't take that information when somebody else wasn't there.
Also, my mortgage payment, Your Honor, is $1,096. It's not $1,700. The money that I gave her back for the school clothes was out of a check. The $1,700.
Show me.
No, I don't have no receipts for the clothes, Your Honor. I don't have any receipts for the clothes. I don't.
Not for the clothes. Show me where you gave her $500.
Oh, I don't. I don't have any proof of that. We were still in very good terms at the time, and it really didn't seem like anything had to be put on paper because.
That's a problem, folks.
Yes, I understand.
And Your Honor, we also have police reports where not only is this a case about the loan, but the credit card that she was offered when she got the loan, she also took out, and he took that credit card and charged up that credit card.
No, I did not charge anything on that credit card.
Just a second. Just a second. Do you have the bills?
Yes.
Those credit card bills?
Yes, I have documentation, and we also have a.
Just a second. Show me what was purchased on the credit card.
Cowboy boots for Saul.
She
She
purchased those for me before we went to a biker run in Ignacio, Colorado.
Let me just
on
see
her
it,
own
please.
free will. That was not charged on mine because I don't have a credit card. She had a
No,
credit card.
it was on my name because the loan officer lent me the money.
Miss Montana?
She bought them herself out of her own free will.
For him, I don't
Can
think
you be quiet?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to hear anybody till I look at the documents.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe the credit card bill is also on the back of the documentation that you have.
Albertsons, which is a food store.
Right, because I had to buy groceries on a credit card because of it.
Please,
You
listen
know?
to me. No. Shell, I assume that's for gas for a
him?
car?
No.
Yes, it was. So we put it on the credit
You don't get paid
card.
for that, madam. You don't get paid for that.
He charged it.
He charged it.
Now you can sit down.
I'm sorry.
I never physically touched that credit card. Every time she used it, it was willingly with her permission.
Just a second.
ma'am.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes,
I'm not
ma'am.
saying you're a doll, believe me. And I'm saying that in all probability, you probably took advantage of her a little bit financially.
No, ma'am.
Don't disagree with me. It's a very stupid thing to do.
Okay, I agree.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Militia Montano says ex-boyfriend Saul Martinez asked her to take out a loan so he could pay back his mortgage. She claims he's never paid back the money.
So you took advantage of her financially. Sometimes that happens in a relationship. You don't get paid for being foolish. You don't get paid for food. No court, Miss Montano, is going to go through your bills from a time when you were living together and saying $11.63 for gas, $126 at Albertson Food Store, $6.12 for oil and gas in the car. There is no court that's going to do that. Understand me. That's not going to happen. I've said it 1,000 times. It's too bad you haven't heard it. If you loan somebody money, you get it in writing. This is a loan. This is what you owe me. Sign it. Now, the problem is the only writing that I have with regard to this loan that you made for him is a loan for $1,700. I borrowed $2,000 plus $1,700 was for the house payment and school clothes. Those are your words. So I have to make a judgment based upon the evidence that I get. So I find that he actually owes you that $1,700 that was September of 2000. Now, how much have you paid towards that, sir?
Your Honor, I had made agreements to pay her. When she wrote me that letter, I didn't respond to it right away.
Why not?
Because I was working.
What do you mean? What difference does that make?
I responded to her house when I went over there to get my stuff, because if you continue to read the letter, she says she wants to give me back my stuff. When I went to get it, she said, F you, leave. Okay, so I left. And what I understand now, she works with my brother, is that she sold my stuff. Because
What
she wrote,
stuff?
which is a bicycle, a lot of other stuff. The main thing is my bicycle.
Okay. What kind of bicycle was it?
It's a KHS, it's a mountain bike.
Do you have his mountain bike?
I sold his mountain bike, Your Honor, and I have a bill of sale, an estimate, and photographs of it. I sold it actually for the September payment of beneficial for $220. I was broke. I didn't know what else to do.
Show me a bill of sale.
There you go.
I also have receipts of my bike when I bought it.
Let me see. Let me see.
The value of it, I went back
Let
to
me
the store
just-
when I bought it. There's also a receipt in there for a rug that she kept of mine also.
Just a second. How much of this loan did you in fact pay her back? Nothing, is that right?
No, she
Zero.
refused to give me my stuff back.
Okay.
I had made arrangements to pay her, Your Honor.
What was
and she
the
didn't.
date of the loan that you took out? When did you take out
August the
loan?
8th of 2000. 30 days to the date, Saul was gone.
Okay.
With toilet paper, actually, Your Honor, from my home. Toilet paper, toothpaste, everything.
Listen to me.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
That's your problem.
I know.
You not only took them back once, you took them back several times,
Yes, I
according
did.
to you. So, I need some calculations from you. What would be the interest on $1,700 for 4 months?
Oh my God, I don't have a...
Approximately. You want a calculator?
I need a business calculator.
I also had to take in a roommate so he could help me. I know that's my problem again, but...
It is your problem. How much is it?
Approximately about $2,300.
For 4 months?
For 4 months.
$2,300 less $220, which she got for the bike, is $2,080.
It was not worth $200. She must have been very
I have
desperate
no
to sell
idea
it.
what it was worth. That's what she
course
sold
I
it
was.
for. She sold it when you didn't give her money for the payment that you were supposed to give her.
When I went to get my stuff back, like she requested for me, that she said she wanted to give my... Everything was good till then.
Did you sell the bike before or after he came over that day?
Way before.
So the bike you didn't have?
I didn't have the bike.
Okay. Did you tell him you didn't have the bike?
No.
Exactly.
No, no, no.
Yes, I did.
No, you did
When
not.
did... Hey,
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
what do you understand?
Be quiet.
Now, what other property, sir, does she have that's yours, that you want
I
back?
don't-
Because that's your counterclaim.
Oh, it's on my counterclaim, it's just my rug, which you have a receipt up there.
You have his rug?
You have pictures of it. Yes, I do.
You have his rug?
Yes, I don't want
Okay,
it.
that you're going to return.
Yes, I will.
And
Gladly.
other little stuff like
I'm
little
not
TVs.
interested in other little stuff.
Okay.
I'm interested in big stuff. I have
That's
no
it.
time for little stuff.
That's it.
Good. Okay. This is what you owe her, sir, so that she's not going to have to wait for your payment every month. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,080. That's all.
Parties are excused.
Get your rug back within 5 days. That takes care of your counterclaim.
What amazes me the most is her ability and how convenient it is for her to forget all the times I paid for her divorce, when I paid for her trailer and her trailer space and all utilities when I first met her prior to me buying her house, that was all conveniently forgotten.
Saul Martinez is just, he's an idiot, cleverly disguised as a man. And I was victimized, I was in love, and I was victimized.
And now the next case.
All parties on Howard versus Johnson. Step forward, please.
32-year-old grocery stocker Joseph Howard is suing ex-girlfriend, 27-year-old homemaker Elisha Johnson for the return of 10 years of child support payments. Joseph says DNA test proved he's not the father of her son.
Mr. Howard, did you know that for many, many years I was a sitting judge in the family court in New York?
No, ma'am.
Well, I was. And in the family court in New York, one of the kinds of cases we heard were paternity cases.
Yes,
you know what paternity cases are, right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you also know that during that time, Officer Byrd was my court officer, along with court officer for several other judges, but my favorite. And he listened very carefully to what was going on.
Okay.
He was really interested. So I'm going to tell you,
Okay.
and at the same time, Officer Byrd is going to listen
Okay.
to the facts of this case.
Okay.
And you may get your answer from me, or you may get your answer from Officer Byrd.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
He's a pretty smart guy.
Okay.
Been around the block.
All right.
In 1989, you and the defendant had a brief relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, sometime in 1989, the defendant told you that she was pregnant with your child.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint is that from 1989 to 2000,
Yes, ma'am.
you labored under the impression that you were the father of this child.
Yes, ma'am.
And while you never went to court
Yes,
to
ma'am.
be legally declared the
Mhm.
father, never went to court to establish your paternity,
Mm-hmm.
pay a regular support order for the child,
Mm-hmm.
you did, in fact, during that time, buy occasional clothes and diapers and other things for the child.
Yes.
You have married now.
Yes.
You want to have this matter finally resolved, so she files for support?
No, the state filed.
State filed on your behalf for support for the child. You went and took the DNA test,
Mm-hmm.
and the DNA test came back that you were not the child's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are suing her for $5,000
Yes, ma'am.
for the assorted clothes and stuff that you may have bought during the 11 years and for a lot of mental anguish.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it.
What do you think?
I don't think he's got a real chance here.
When the defendant told you in 1989 that she was pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't you go to court?
I just didn't go. I just feel like, hey, I just take care of my responsibility. I didn't have no reason to go to court.
Well, your answer says, sir, that you doubted at that time
Mm-hmm.
that you were the father of this child.
Yes. Because it was just like a one-time deal, and she come tell me, okay, you pregnant. I mean, I'm pregnant.
So then, Mr. Howard, if you had some doubts as to what your responsibilities were,
Mm-hmm.
then you go to court.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Go to court, you file a paternity proceeding, you say, I want to be declared the father of this child, I want to take blood tests. If I'm the father of this child, I want to pay support, I want a regular schedule of visitation, which you complain about that you didn't have here, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But you didn't do that.
No.
So what do you want me to do?
I mean, for 10 years, she just told me, just led me on for 10 years.
Mr. Howard. Mr. Howard,
I mean,
it's not as if you didn't have sex with the defendant.
No, I'm not denying that.
So it is possible that you were the father, right?
Yeah, it's possible. But she told me unequivocally, without a doubt, I was the only one. So
well,
therefore,
Mr. Howard, she told you unequivocally you were the only one, you didn't live together, it was a one-time deal according to you, so then you'd be smart.
Okay.
But then you don't come to a court and say, now you have to fix up the last 11 years because I've been through all this mental anguish when you could have taken care of it 11 years ago.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Case is dismissed.
Thank you, Lord.
Right,
Step
Bertie?
back.
Thank you, dear Lord.
294 on the calendar in the matter of Mucci versus Doherty. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated and have a seat.
How old are you, sir?
22, Your Honor.
Are you an only child?
No, I'm not.
Are you the baby in the family?
Yes, I am.
You know, I could have almost predicted that.
Yeah?
Yes, I
Yes,
could have.
sorry, Your Honor.
You still live at home?
Yes.
This is just sort of research for me.
Uh-huh.
Now let's get to the lawsuit. He was driving your car.
Yes, he was.
With your daughter in it.
Yes.
They were friends, boyfriend, girlfriend. He fell asleep. He wrecked the car.
Yes, he did.
He says it's not his fault. So I want to hear why it's not his fault. Go ahead.
I don't think it's all my fault. I think it's part my fault that I wrecked the car, but I don't think I'm...
Which part? First tell me when it happened.
I couldn't tell you the exact date, Your Honor. But
Give me a month.
month, March, I believe.
Beginning, middle, or end?
Beginning of March, Your Honor.
It would be March.
It was May 19th.
It was May 19th. That's close to March. They both start with an M. Okay. How did it come about that you were driving the plaintiff's car?
On the night of questioned, I was in bed sleeping. I received a phone call from Jessica stating that she was getting off work around 2 a.m. and she needed me to do her a favor. So she asked if she can come get me and go for a ride.
You were sound asleep. What time did she call you?
Around 2 o'clock in the morning.
And what time had you gone to sleep?
Maybe 12 o'clock. I work at 7 that morning.
Okay. And you were due to get up at 7?
Yes.
So why didn't you tell Jessica, don't stop by on your way home from work. You're driving, go directly home. I have to get up early in the morning.
I guess I'm a sucker for cute girls.
Yes. And you know, you were just going to go out and do what at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Just, I guess, talk. I don't. We were just.
You were just going to talk.
She was bored. She wanted someone companion. She wasn't sleepy.
Let me explain something to you, sir. You're 22 years
Yes.
old. You didn't get out of bed because you thought you were going to talk at 2 o'clock in the morning. All right. So she came by your house, and you got dressed.
Yes.
And you went outside.
Yes.
And what happened when you went outside?
I got in the car. She was driving at the time. We drove around for a little bit, and then she was getting sleepy, so she asked me to drive.
When you drove around, you're just driving around?
Basically, yes.
Wow.
Well, at that point in time, she really can't come to my house, and I really can't go to her house, so...
Why is that?
Differences in the past.
Differences with whom?
My family and her family.
Oh. So it's like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, sort of.
So you're driving around, then she's doing the driving, and then
Yes.
what happened?
She started to get sleepy also, so she asked me if I can drive. I told her that at the time I was also sleepy, that I didn't want to drive, but I gave in and decided to drive. I thought I was stronger than she was at the time, so I.
Well, that was a misjudgment
Yes,
on your
it
part.
really was.
Because you fell asleep.
Yes.
What did you hit?
I hit a bus sign, a trash can, and 3 parking meters.
Lucky you didn't hit 3 people.
Yes.
Is the story he's telling me pretty accurate?
Almost.
Well, why don't you come up here and finish it? You're Jessica?
Yes.
All right, Jessica. First, why did you call him at 2 o'clock in the morning?
I had gotten off work and wanted to go get something to eat.
Yes.
So I called him, and he said he would come with me. So I came to his house, picked him up. We went on our way to get something to eat. I was tired, realized that we didn't want to go, and he offered to drive.
You were on your way
never
downtown, and you realized you didn't want to go.
I didn't want to go anymore. I was really tired myself. And he noticed and offered to drive. Get in the car, I'm sleeping. The next thing I know, I wake up, and there's smoke everywhere, and I look behind me, and there's all types of damage to the sidewalk and to the car.
What kind of car were you driving?
A Nissan Altima.
What year?
96.
Was the car fixed?
It's beyond repair. I have pictures and I have estimates. The estimate's more than the car's worth.
Do you have the Blue Book value on the car?
No, I don't.
Well, I need that.
Okay.
Would you see if you can get the Blue Book for me on this
Sure.
car? Thank you. We have a price?
$2,775.
Jesus. Now, Tracy,
Yes, Your Honor.
she was not smart to call you at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I wasn't smart to leave my house at 2 in the morning either.
That's right. Because you got more than the hamburger that you bargained for.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that you're not responsible.
I understand.
And when I read your answer, I said, I'm going to make scrambled eggs out of you.
Sorry.
But you look like a nice enough young man.
Thank you.
So I'm not going to make scrambled eggs out of you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm giving them $2,775 in a judgment because it was your fault. If somebody asks you to do something and you're not equipped to do it because you're tired, then you say, no, I can't drive. Let's pull over and call a cab. Pull over and call your mother, pull over and call my father, or we'll walk home. Better yet, you don't go out at all. But since you made all of those cumulative mistakes, you have to pay for it. Judgment to the plaintiff in the amount of $2,775. Thank you.
Thank you. Parties are excused. You may step out.
For a while there, he thought it wasn't his fault, but I think he's changed his mind.
I learned a lot of lessons in the result of this.
I was a little upset.
Don't answer your phone late at night if you're sleeping.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Munoz versus Madrigal, step forward, please.
Records clerk Rosalinda Munoz is suing shop owner Lupe Madrigal for the cost of 4 dresses and a photographer. Rosalinda says the dresses for her daughter's celebration were the wrong color.
Ms. Munoz, according to what I've read, your daughter was celebrating her 15th birthday. This is your daughter. And it is your custom to have sort of a coming out party, a big party, when a young lady reaches 15. Is that right?
Yes.
What is it called?
A quinceañera.
And you planned a large party, and as a matter of fact, there were several hundred people coming to the party.
Yes.
You commissioned the defendant to make dresses for your daughter's friends.
Yes.
And she agreed, and you came to a price. What was the price for the dresses?
The green dresses that we originally ordered were $120 each.
And how many did you order?
There were to be 11.
Your complaint is that 4 of the dresses came back in the wrong color.
Correct.
And you want that money back.
Right.
And you also want back the money that you paid to the photographer, because according to you, the pictures were not as you anticipated they would be because of the different color dresses. Ms. Madrigal says that she does in fact acknowledge the different colors. Even I could see. Are those the 2 different colors?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That they were totally different colors. She says slightly off shade. That's really bad. And that you shouldn't make such a big deal about it. That's basically a defense. Is that right?
Yes.
Is there any more that I left out?
We ordered the dresses.
You ordered the dresses from someone else. You didn't make them.
Exactly. No, we did not make the dresses.
Okay. Can I see those dresses, please? These were dresses that she was not making. She was buying. She was the middle person.
Right.
Where did the dresses come from, Miss Madrigal?
From Texas.
Well, they are lovely dresses, but I certainly see what you mean, that they're totally the wrong color.
Mm-hmm.
How many of these were there? 4?
4. Mm-hmm.
Did the girls wear them?
Yes, they did.
Can I see the photographs, please?
Yes.
Why don't you go up and stand next to your mom? Tell me your name.
Juliana.
Juliana? Bird, you can give these back to the plaintiff. Oh, these pictures are lovely. Juliana, it looks to me as if you had a great time at this party, did you?
Well, yes.
Your dress is beautiful. Your dress was white?
Yeah.
Why do you think that the defendant should be responsible for what you paid to the photographer?
Because the pictures and the video are what's left to us as memories of the event.
Why do you think it's her fault that the manufacturer sent the wrong dresses?
I don't think it's her fault that the manufacturer sent the wrong dresses. What I think is that she should have did something for us. She gave these girls their dresses the day of the event. They arrived 2 days prior to the event.
Did the girls go to pick them up 2 days prior to the event?
No, they went to look at them 2 days prior to the event.
Right.
And pick them up the day of the event.
Well, that's not her fault.
That's not her fault, but she could have did something as far as the color. She has a boutique. It's a store. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event. It doesn't...
Ms. Munoz, she's not responsible for your photographer. You purchased the dresses from her, from a manufacturer. She was the middle person. Manufacturer sent 4 of the dresses in the wrong color. You had an option at that point. Your option was not to take the dresses and go out and find other dresses, or take the dresses and use them.
Mm-hmm.
Did she give you a discount on the 4 dresses?
Yes, she did.
What was the discount?
Half price.
So you actually paid $60 a piece for those dresses?
Correct.
Did you pay for, Miss Madrigal, those 4 dresses?
Yes, I did. And I had ordered shawls, and not only that, but the shawls did not come in. What I did is I ran around all the fabric stores until I found the color. That's when I told Mrs. Munoz that I had found the color of the fabric if she wanted us to make the dresses. She told me yes at one time, so I told the seamstress we're going to have to stay until we're done with these dresses. I gave all the girls free alterations for the air, and I gave the girls a 50% off those light color dresses.
Well, what did she say when you said, I can make the dresses and we'll stay all night?
She said there was not enough time.
She said there was not enough time.
Yes, she did.
Anyway, the pictures look beautiful. You had a wonderful time? Sure you did. Don't tell me that because some of your girlfriends wore white dresses, you were miserable the whole day. I mean, that's ridiculous. You don't want me to think you're ridiculous, do you? No, of course not. You had a wonderful time. That's what you're supposed to have. You're not supposed to get bogged down with little things that really, in the scheme of life, are meaningless. You had a wonderful time. And if a dress is going to make you miserable, then your priorities are all off. Do you understand that?
But my friends, when they see the dresses, they don't want to come in my quinceañera.
Listen, if your friends are being stupid, that doesn't mean you have to be stupid. Right? Huh? Now, if a member of your family couldn't be there because of illness or because of something else, that's a reason to be sad. Because a dress is the wrong color? Get your priorities straight.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
She didn't want my boyfriend there. If my boyfriend came to the house, he had to go directly to my room. He couldn't sit on our furniture. He couldn't sit in the living room. She just didn't like him. She didn't want him there.
Grow up.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rosalinda Munoz says shop owner Lupe Madrigal owes for the cost of 4 dresses. Rosalinda says they were the wrong color.
Seems to me, Miss Munoz, that the defendant did everything that was reasonable under the circumstances. She ran around, she made the shawls herself, charged you half price for the dresses. You took the dresses, you used them. You used them for the event.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The shawls and this off-white color don't match. They're a little bit different. They almost match, but they're different.
What are you going to do with the dresses?
You can see that in the pictures.
What are you going to do with the dresses?
Nothing.
What are you going to do with the green dresses?
Nothing.
Now you'll do the same nothing with the white dresses.
Right.
Miss Munoz, get a life. Listen, and don't teach your daughter the wrong thing. This lady did the best she could under the circumstances. If you didn't want the dresses, all you had to do was say, listen, I'll go out and find other dresses. I'm not paying you at all for the dresses. I'm not using them.
But, Your Honor, I was in a time restraint there. I had
Of course
2
you
days.
were.
This event took me over a year to plan. Over a year. It's like a wedding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event.
Yeah,
This
you're only
was-
15 once.
Exactly.
You're only 20
And this
once.
was
You're only
ruined.
21 once. You're only 25
You're
once.
right.
You're only 50 once.
You're right, but this
And later-
event was ruined for my daughter because of this mistake.
And I am
These
going to tell you,
dresses-
and I am going to tell you something. If what you tell me is that the event was ruined because of the dress, I am telling you that you and your daughter don't have your priorities straight. If a whole event is ruined because the color of a dress is off, you and your daughter better sit down and reevaluate what's important in life. This is not. You use the dresses for their intended purpose.
We had no choice.
No, you had a choice. Your choice was to go and get other dresses.
Not in 2 days, we couldn't.
Yes, you could have, and you would have had to pay for them. These dresses you got half price. It was a bargain. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
After a year of planning, we only had 2 days, so we had no choice.
I did my best.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime event.
We worked over hours, you know, trying to get all the alterations done, and we did it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Buchanan versus Cable. Step forward, please.
20-year-old office manager Jennifer Buchanan is suing her former roommate, 19-year-old salesperson Desiree Cable, for breaking their apartment lease. Desiree says Jennifer was acting like a mother.
Miss Buchanan, I assume that you and the defendant were friends when you signed this one-year lease on an apartment. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you sign the lease?
On February 7th, 2003.
And rent on the apartment was how much?
It's $880 a month.
Is it 1 bedroom or 2?
2.
Were you both working?
Yes.
Great. Okay. And according to your complaint, Miss Cable at some point early on in the lease moved out. She, according to you, moved back with her boyfriend. And she continued to pay the rent on the apartment, despite the fact that she was not living there, for how many months?
4 to 6 months.
When did you move out?
I moved out probably the end of March.
So April, May, June, July, and August. 5 months you paid rent,
Right.
correct?
No, August 1st, she stopped paying everything.
So she paid rent for 4 months.
Correct.
And you want her to be responsible for her share of the remainder of the lease.
Correct.
What did you do to get another roommate?
I never did. I mean, we just met and we came into this on an agreement
No,
together.
I understand that's what you're saying to me. She moved out of the apartment in March.
Correct.
You know that she's not moving back because she's living with her boyfriend. What did you do to do the right thing and try to get another roommate?
I can't get another roommate. We came into this, it's for the first 12 months of the lease, it is based on your income. So there was not anybody, I mean, I would have to find somebody specifically within her income restrictions in order to move in because mine didn't change.
What did you do to try to get another roommate?
Nothing.
You have to. Why did you move out?
She was acting like my mother. She didn't want my boyfriend there. If my boyfriend came to the house, he had to go directly to my room. He couldn't sit on our furniture. He couldn't sit in the living room. She just didn't like him. She didn't want him there. So I moved out.
Why did you like a boyfriend?
I never had a problem with her boyfriend, to my knowledge.
In any event, she wanted to move back. According to your answer, Ms. Buchanan said that she had a new roommate starting in August.
She said that her boyfriend lease ran up at the end of July, and she was going to ask him to move in.
When did she tell you that?
Probably beginning of April, she had mentioned it.
Listen, you have a responsibility to mitigate damages, but she also has a responsibility, if she's moving out, to find another roommate for you. Except you told her your boyfriend was moving in.
No, I didn't tell her he was moving in. Mentioned it, that there could be a possibility, but the leasing department said no, that the income wouldn't work.
When did you tell her that?
I came home when there was a note saying that she's not paying. I never gave her a yes or no answer. So I said,
well, you better find a roommate, madam.
Excuse me?
You better find a roommate. She's not paying any more rent.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, she's not paying any more rent. You have a responsibility to mitigate the damages. You allowed her to move out. You said, my boyfriend may be moving in. His lease is up at the end of July, which means that she didn't look for anybody else because she assumed that your boyfriend was going to move in. Miss Cable did the right thing. She acted honorably in paying rent, even though she wasn't living there for 4 months. 4 months is a long enough period of time for you to try to find somebody else. You did not. That's not her problem. Grow up. Goodbye. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. That's case number 130 on the calendar in the matter of Smith versus Grody. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Smith, according to what I've read in your complaint, you and Mr. Grody were dating. You went to a Christmas party with him using your car. He drove home from the Christmas party. There was an accident, and he totaled your car. You were a passenger in the car. You want $5,000 so that you can buy a new car, and Mr. Grody says that it was, in fact, an accident. There was snow and ice on the road, and you should have had better insurance if the car was so valuable. That's your defense, right? Okay. Let's see. This Christmas party was on what date?
December 4th of 2004.
And how far from your home was the Christmas party?
Well, from my home, it was about an hour and a half. From where John lives, it was about 40 minutes.
And I see from your complaint that it was originally your intention to sleep over.
Yes.
And you had hotel reservations.
I do not know if there was hotel reservations. I did call to get a receipt for the hotel reservations. They said that
you made arrangements to stay over.
I did not. John said that he was going to make all the arrangements.
Okay. And that was because?
It was his Christmas party.
And you were both going to be drinking?
Yes.
So that was a very wise thing, to make arrangements to stay over.
Okay, we didn't make arrangements before we got there. Our whole thing was actually that we were going home that night. When we got there was when everybody said, oh, we're all staying here, so do you want to stay? And originally she said she didn't want to stay.
And what about
we
you?
didn't have the money to stay.
Your Honor.
Just a second, he's talking. Go ahead.
So when we were there, and I said, all right, well then, I wanted to stay there. She said we didn't have the money to stay there, so the plan was to drive home after that.
Who didn't have the money?
Both of us. Either of us.
So you didn't have the money either?
Well, I offered to pay. I mean, I had a credit card on me. I could have paid, but then she said she didn't want me to. So the plan was to go home.
Mr. Grody, were you drinking?
Yes, I was.
Was she drinking?
Yeah, she was.
Then you find the money to stay over.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Now, what time did you leave the party?
I had to be around 12:30.
And what time had you arrived at the party?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
I believe it was around 8 o'clock.
What kind of alcohol were you consuming that day, Miss Smith?
I had some wine with dinner, and then in the bar area, I was drinking Captain and Diet Coke.
And what were you drinking, Mr. Grody?
Corbel and Diet Coke.
Corbel and Diet Coke. Is that a mix?
It is for me.
What, really? I mean, do you mix those two together, or you drink the Coke as a chaser?
No, I mix them together.
You mix them together.
Yep. I'm a brandy boy, sorry.
I guess it ain't a mimosa. I guess it's a Melissa.
Melissa, that's cute. It's cute. I wouldn't record it anywhere, but it's cute. How many of these bizarre drinks did you have that evening?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. So you know that you were in no position to be driving home.
Before we left, I did stop drinking a while before we actually did leave.
How old are you, sir?
23.
How many hours into the drive home did you have this accident?
About 40 minutes. We were about a mile away from my house.
Is there a police report?
Yes, I have an
I'd like
accident
to see
report.
it. You're driving on a suspended license?
No.
Did you have a license?
Yes, I did.
It says that you were cited for driving too fast for the conditions, failure to notify police of an accident,
Correct.
and operating after a suspension.
Right. Actually, everything didn't go through. I actually paid the ticket that I had it suspended for before that, but it didn't go through in that township.
What was your license suspended for?
For not paying a ticket or not appearing in court for a speeding ticket.
Did you get a ticket for driving too fast for the conditions?
Yes, I did.
Okay. According to your complaint, Ms. Smith, he was angry that evening when you left.
Yes.
Is that right? Tell me about it.
Well, we were all just, socializing, and I went up to the bar to get a drink. And while I was waiting for my drink, just a guy just randomly struck up a conversation with me. And we were just chatting while I was waiting. And apparently, John here didn't like that. And he came up and he had made a remark to the individual that was talking to me. I couldn't understand what he was saying, but I could definitely, he was aggressive in his body language towards this guy. So I really didn't want to, push the issue. I just stayed where I was, thought that he would just, have like 5 minutes of cool down time and I would stay there. But then immediately he came back up to me and he just said, "We're leaving now." And
what time was that?
I believe it was around 12:15.
Okay, and did you leave?
Yes.
And you let him drive?
Well, I didn't, yes. Physically, I let him drive because I knew I could not physically stop him from driving. He had possession of my keys because I allowed him to drive us to the party. And so he was angry. I was very scared. He's much larger than I am.
Shouldn't have gotten into the car.
I understand. I shouldn't have gotten into the car.
The car's just steel, replaceable.
Understandable. I was clearly not thinking about the best thing. Yes, and also, even if it hadn't been drinking, I believe due to the scare factor, I just didn't want him to, of course, damage my property that I worked very hard. And I know that's a very irrational thought. My body is much more precious than a chunk of metal, like you said.
You're right. So what happened on the way home?
He just kept saying that, why were you talking to this guy? This was my party. You're my girlfriend. Being very possessive, being very jealous.
And some of the booze talking, too.
Possibly, yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I freaked out and I said, "John, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. It's dark. We're on country roads and you've been drinking." But it was too late. And then the next thing I remember, he was saying, "Get out of the car now. Get out of the car now."
And later today.
Did you believe that the friendship would rekindle into a relationship?
No.
Mr. Marquez, don't insult my intelligence.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Audrey Smith says ex-boyfriend John Grody crashed her VW Jetta while driving drunk. Audrey also says John was irate when he got behind the wheel.
Keep going.
And so he was speeding because he was getting agitated. And I looked at the speedometer, and it was at 80 miles per hour. And I freaked out, and I said, "John, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. It's dark. We're on country roads, and you've been drinking." But it was too late. Then next thing I remember was him saying, "Oh." And then I blacked out momentarily. And then the next thing I remember, he was saying, "Get out of the car now. Get out of the car now." And I was very disoriented. And so he pulled me out through the driver's side door. And
I was going 85 about 10 miles before we actually crashed. I slowed down before we actually went around that curve because I go around that curve every day. I know that it's a bad curve and there's accidents there all the time.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 99 Volkswagen Jetta.
The car was totaled?
Yes.
Did you tell her that you were going to get her another car?
We had a car at work. I'm auto mechanic.
That's not my question.
Yes, I told her that I was going to buy her the car that we had at work and fix it for her, and it was more than equivalent to what she had. She said she didn't want that car. And after that, I'm not obligated, I did not feel obligated to actually buy her a car. I thought it was just a nice gesture for me to do.
It's not a nice gesture, sir. You caused an accident.
Right.
Your lack of judgment, by virtue of the fact that you had been drinking all night, your lack of judgment and getting behind the wheel and being emotionally agitated with her that evening, which you clearly were. There's no question in my mind that that happened.
Right.
The police indicate that you were driving in excess of the speed limit. Your answer that you provided me says that you had this accident because of the road conditions, because it was icy, going in excess of the speed limits, which the police document.
It says too fast for conditions now.
That's absolutely right. Too fast for the conditions. Too fast for the conditions. Too fast for the hour of the evening. It was dark. Too fast for the fact that you had been drinking champagne and Coke a whole night. All of those things put together suggest to me that this was not an accident brought about by virtue of the fact that accidents sometimes happen. You were doing the wrong thing. And because you were doing the wrong thing, she doesn't have a car anymore.
Right.
So take care of that. You have the blue book value on your car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
I did give her my car, by the way.
Shouldn't have it anymore, does she?
Yeah.
Yes, I do have, it was signed over to me, but I also have the NADA value of that.
Just a second. Hold it, my dear. You accepted the car from him and you registered it?
Not at first. At first, he gave it to me. He said, you can borrow this car until I buy you the replacement for your totaled vehicle.
Okay.
I said, thank you. I told him, like, well, you know what? I'm going to take the car for now, and then I'm going to sue you for the rest.
Is that what she said to you?
Yep.
What kind of car did you give her?
95 Corsica Chevy.
Are you telling me that you signed the title over to her?
Correct.
And she said to you, I'm going to take this car, but I'm going to sue you for the rest of the money that I think you owe me, and you said, okay, I'm going to sign over the car anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Why in the world would you do that?
Because otherwise, if I took the car back from her, how would she get anywhere?
What do you care?
I don't want to be a jerk. I understand that she didn't have a car because of me, and I didn't want to be a jerk. I wanted her to be able to get around.
You've been driving this car since April?
I've actually been driving it since the accident happened. And the reason why I needed it transferred over into my name is because I found out that he did not carry insurance on it. And I was driving the car, and I need insurance, and in order to carry insurance, it has to be registered in my name. So that's why I had to do that. Otherwise, again, I would be left with no car.
Okay. Why don't you have her do this? Why don't you have her sign this title back over to him?
Signature of the seller, I guess.
Okay. Can I borrow your pen?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Good. Now he's got his car back. Go pick it up.
Okay.
It's yours. And now you'll pay her $5,000 so she can go out and buy a car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000.
Thank you, Judge.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I thought it was, I guess, fair.
Of course I'm happy. I won. You know, yay.
I was just upset that she wasn't with the party.
He just kept saying, you know, this is my party, you're my guest, and you should be by my side the entire night.
That's pretty much all it was about.
Really have no, beef with him other than this.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Marquez versus Welfare, step forward, please.
23-year-old Joe Marquez is suing his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old student Jamie Welfare, for selling his washer and dryer. Jamie claims the appliances were a Mother's Day gift from Joe.
How old are you, Mr. Marquez?
I'm 23. I'll be 24 in a couple days.
Before you moved in with Miss Welfare and her two children, where were you living?
I was living with my parents.
And when did you move in with Miss Welfare?
I moved in with her in mid-October of 2003.
And how long did you live there?
I lived there until the beginning of April.
And where were you working during that time?
The whole time I was working at Denny's restaurant.
Part-time?
Part-time, yes. I also coached football at the local elementary school.
What was your financial arrangement when you were living with Miss Welfare?
We paid half. I paid $300, she paid $300.
For rent?
For rent, correct.
Is that right?
That's correct.
What about the rest of the expenses?
We usually split those down the middle as well.
And what were you doing, Miss Welfare?
I also had 2 jobs. I was working at 2 separate restaurants.
Okay. This is what the complaint is about. The complaint says that while you were living there, you purchased a washer and dryer. When you moved out in April of 2004, you told Miss Welfare that she could keep them for a while because you had no place to take them because you were moving back with your parents. A year later, you finally get your own place. You let her know you want your washer and dryer back, and she says, forget it.
Actually, I did have a place to put them. I have a receipt for my storage space, which I purchased in April 17th of 04 as well, which was actually 5 days after I moved everything out of the apartment.
All right, so you didn't want to put it in your storage space because...
Well, she has 2 children, and we've been to the laundromat together, and it takes quite a long time to do laundry. And since my parents already had a washer and dryer, I had no need for them at that time. And I had just purchased them in March of that year, which had only been about a month. So I figured I might as well get some use out of them by leaving them at her apartment.
That's somewhat correct, but not completely correct.
23-year-old Joe Marquez is suing his ex-girlfriend, 22-year-old student Jamie Welfare, for selling his washer and dryer. Jamie claims the appliances were a Mother's Day gift from Joe.
Well, let me hear what your version of the events were.
When he bought those for me, it was an early Mother's Day gift. I was the one doing all the laundry. He never even did his own laundry. I was doing my laundry, his laundry, and both of my children's laundry. And between the 2 jobs and being at the laundromat all the time, it was a lot of time away. And so we had been discussing, you know, him buying a washer and dryer for me, and he was looking online and said, hey, come and pick the one you want. And so I picked the one I want. He gave them to me. When he moved out, I was sleeping when he moved out. You know, our relationship had gotten kind of rocky. There was never any discussion about me giving them back, ever.
When, for the first time, did you contact her with regard to retrieving these 2 items?
Your Honor, as she said, I moved out at the very beginning of April of 2004. We didn't talk for 2 weeks afterwards. After that, we, began phone conversations, and actually on May 5th of 2004, she came over to my house, my parents' house, for a little Cinco de Mayo get-together. In May of 2004, I gave Miss Welfare $100 because she was having a rough time making it on her own in the apartment, and I have here a check for utilities / other stuff I gave to Miss Welfare for $100 to help her out.
Could you answer my question?
Sure.
You remember what my question was?
Yes, I do. Have we ever talked about it? About the washer and dryer?
When, for the first time, did you ask for it back?
I first asked for it back when I found out I was moving out with my current girlfriend, which was in March of 2005.
Okay, so between April of 2004 and March 2005, you had absolutely no discussion with her about this washer and dryer.
That is incorrect. When I gave her that check, which was dated May 20th of 04, we had discussed it. She actually wanted to purchase the washer and dryer fully. She wanted to give me payments per month. And I told her that since we were becoming good friends, I did not want the only conversation to be between us about the washer and dryer.
At that time, Mr. Marquez, did you believe that the friendship would rekindle into a relationship?
No. Actually, when we first broke up, I did...
Mr. Marquez, don't insult my intelligence.
Sorry, Your Honor.
You don't go from being lovers to friends without somebody hoping for a little bit more.
That is correct. Yes.
So during that time, and during the time, according to you, she said, why don't you let me make payments on it? You said, no.
Correct.
And now you have a new girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
You moving into an apartment together?
We have currently moved into an apartment as of the 9th of April.
And I assume it doesn't have a washer and dryer.
Actually, it does. After this little skirmish between me and my ex-girlfriend, my current girlfriend went out and purchased one, hoping it would make me feel a little bit better.
Did it?
I was very, very pleased that she would show that much friendship towards me. But I wasn't very angry about the washer and dryer. I was angry at the fact that she took me for granted that I was being nice and letting her borrow the washer and dryer when I could have just put them in my storage.
Get over it. There is something that doesn't ring true, sir, about your story that you told her more than a year ago, that I'm letting you use this piece of equipment that breaks down, that once it's used, it becomes less functional. I'm going to let you use that for as long as it takes. And it just so happens that the time that you want it back is when you're moving in with a new girlfriend. By the way, Whose washer and dryer is the new one that was purchased?
It is hers.
I just want her to hear that.
Yes, I've told her that many times.
Very good. And you know whose this is?
Yes.
Hers. Thank you. That's all. Have a happy life.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss Miller, I've read your complaint, and I gather you had no contact with your biological father your entire life. Is that correct?
This is true. He never knew I was conceived.
And as an adult, that started to probably pry on your
Correct.
mind, and you wanted to find him.
Correct.
Your complaint generally states that you befriended the defendant, or he you. You knew he had family in Italy, where your father, I believe, came from, where
Correct.
you believed still lived there. And you gave him $5,000 in the hopes of locating your father. You claimed that he did nothing to earn the $5,000, didn't find your father, and you want your money back.
This is true.
Okay. What efforts had you made to locate your father?
I had research programs for people, 1-800-US Search, those type of programs to try and locate him. I have a unique situation because, of course, I was not adopted. He never knew I was conceived. He had flown back to Italy right in 1969 after he had met my mother. So I've never wanted to interrupt his family life. He never knew I was born. He was engaged to be married. I did not want to interfere. I wanted to find him directly. I had made many, many, many searches, called investigators, see how much it would cost.
For a long time. For how long?
Oh, at least 15 years. Adult life. I'm 30. At least 15 years. At my wit's end, I did befriend him. He was very cordial. I explained my situation. We are in the same workplace. So he said, I would love to help you. I do this for people. I would like to help you. So I said, wonderful, let's talk about it. He did graciously invite me to his home. His father was there, very, very nice to me. Both of them were very nice. Said this will be no problem. Came out with a folder explaining that he had done this for other people. Different situations, but did know how to contact. Had a lot of resources and connections over there. That his father was the mayor of South Italy. La, la, la. I was like, wonderful. This is my one hope to find him. So we proceeded. About 3 months into it, just the verbal things, he did come up with, I need some more money. I'm going to need possibly money. No money was mentioned in the beginning. Came up with more money. I need more money because it's getting more in depth. I need to pay some people to do work for you over there because I'm not there, those type of things. I said, what's the money for? A little hesitant. I don't make a lot of money. What's it for? Am I going to, receipts, anything. But I understand if you're making long distance calls, I owe the phone calls, to Italy. Of course, valid. Time went on. He came back with, so I did reluctantly, but I did pay the money. That is a very large money, $5,000. That's, 4 or 5 months worth of my work. So I did pay the money. My mother was currently dying of cancer. She recently passed away October 11th. When he asked for the money, he did ask, I need you to sign a piece of paper, which I wrote up myself, indicating that you will allow me permission to get information over in Italy from the Italian consulate, the American consulate. I said, of course I will. I drew those up for him. And he claimed that's what he needed the money for, and that was to get passport information, different things that, to me, I would think you would have to pay services for.
Just 1 second. How did you know he was married and has 3 children?
My mother told me this. My mother said he was my father.
How did she know that he was married?
She had an affair with him for about 4 months. He was engaged to be married when they had met.
That's right. That's what you told me. That's what I didn't understand.
Right.
So she had some contact with him subsequently because...
None.
Well, how did you know to put in this letter that he married and has 3 children?
From the family here in San Diego.
And who got that information for you?
I have always had their phone number because I got it from 411. The great aunt and uncles. I never wanted to go to them.
Just a second. So
yes.
They told you that he is married and has 3 children?
That family.
That family?
Yes.
Not
the
defendant?
No, not the defendant.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. At this point, he did ask for the money, asked for that paperwork. I did comply with him, and I gave it to him. The things that he verbalized to me after that had happened was that he found more information for me. Great. He found me this piece of paper, which you can show, and he provided me these numbers handwritten, and I went ahead and typed them up myself, and I even gave him, I believe, a copy back of that I typed up. These numbers, he claimed, was possible locations in different towns in Italy that my father, his name, may be under. Later on, he tells me, I found your father, confirmed he's in prison. I said, fine. I said, okay. I mean, he's never knew I was born. I'm not upset about that, but please find out. I don't want you doing anything, illegal, any of that. If he's a murderer, if it's something kooky like that, I will back down. I don't want to go there. I said, I just need the location. Once he finds he's in prison, great. What's the prison? Let me start writing a letter. Let me take it from here. So that was I don't even remember the date, probably August, sometime in August. I made about 5 attempts at this point from August, and I have them written down, August 16th, 18th, 28th, and September 6th, where I went to his cafe and said, Marcello, because we cordially got along very well. I said, you've helped me out. I know he's in prison now. Great. I want to write the letter. Can I have my documentation where my $5,000 went? I want my phone bills. I want something in writing.
Just one second. Did you, in fact, ascertain that your father is the person who he reported is in prison?
Since then, I know that his information is completely inaccurate.
Is inaccurate?
Yes. 2 days ago, my witness here, George Cosentini, spoke to my father in Salerno. He has never been in prison. We confirmed that he is the birthday of which I gave him initially.
Okay.
And
Just a
my
second.
father does know my mother and was in his uncle and aunt's restaurant in 1969. Confirmed all that information. He has spoken to him twice.
Who are you, sir?
My name is George Cosentini.
Who does speak Italian.
Come stand here, Mr. Cosentini. How did you locate her father?
What I did was...
I was in a dead end with Marcello, so I decided I was desperate to go to the family, so I got the courage with my sister to go knock on my great aunt and uncle's home. Reluctantly, they were wonderful people, welcomed me, believed that this was true, recalled memories of my mother, were crying, and in which case gave me the number, I'm sorry to interrupt, gave me the number of my father's sister, said, unfortunately, I don't know where my nephew is, but my sister, his sister will definitely know. Give her a call. So at that point, after that day, I brought him the number, and I said, please call the jail to verify that his stuff is inaccurate, that it's not my father.
First of all, there
This
are
is the sheet he gave
there are
me.
no addresses or zip codes if we were to contact the jail. But I did call the jail, and the phone number that we got from information of the Italian consulate said that there was a in prison in Naples. And then I proceeded to ask, can we write letters? Do you know how long he'll be there? Because we're not going to make a trip there if we can't see him or write letters. Then I proceeded to let her know this information. Yes, this is in jail. I said, let me go a little further. Let me call your aunt and just pretend that I'm going to go visit and we want to see her brother, which would be her father. I said, can we have the number? We're going to be there pretty soon. Hoping she would say he's in jail or he's this to confirm what Marcello had done
Then it
for
would
her.
be done.
She said, oh yes, I'll give you the number at his home. And I went, at his home? She goes, yes. So I reiterated, I'll go, this is at his home number?
He calls immediately, said, this is my situation. I have a friend here in America, does not speak Italian. Her mother knew you. Do you know this name, Phyllis Miller? Oh, cried, emotional. Said, I knew your mother, her mother in 1969, and I want you to come visit. She has a daughter, and that's how he got there.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kai Miller says she gave $5,000 to former friend Marcello Nicoletti so he could find her estranged father. Kai says he didn't do anything to earn the money.
Go ahead.
Now, I don't want to let her know why we're calling.
Sensitive.
So I kind of covered it up, sugarcoated by saying, my father knew your brother.
Okay, but in the meantime,
I called.
There's a happy ending to your story so
I
far.
called her father.
It's a happy ending to your
And
story.
spoke to
So
him
far,
twice.
you haven't gone to Italy yet, I assume?
February 8th. We are
So
leaving.
you're going?
Yes.
Okay. So the only issue that I have for you, Mr. Nicoletti, is you were given this $5,000. It's clear that the person that you located was not her father.
The person she told me to locate the person that was in jail.
No. The person that you located was not her father.
I don't know.
It is
Your
not.
Honor.
Trust me. Mr. Nicoletti, the person that you located in jail is not her father. You are certainly entitled to be reimbursed for any expenses that you have. Nobody expects you to be out of pocket any money whatsoever to help her. All she wants to know is, since you did not locate her father...
And this is what I get. Sorry, ma'am.
Since you did not locate her father, she wants to know exactly what you spent money on and who you paid the money to, and some proof by way of receipts, Western Union money orders, etc., where you spent the money, which is most reasonable. So, do you want to show me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good.
First of all, when she approached me in Maine, she was telling me about she was looking for...
No, I got the whole story.
Okay.
Listen
I got
to
a
what I'm
receipt.
saying.
Okay,
Listen
Your
to what
Honor.
I'm saying to you. You are entitled to
understand
be
you.
compensated for any out-of-pocket expenses because that's what you said you needed the money for, not for your fee. You weren't talking about a fee for you. You said, I need money to be compensated for expenses. You did not find her father. Just show me proof by way of receipts of what money you actually spent.
Your Honor, this is the phone bills where my father called the person several times.
I asked 5 times for those. Why didn't I get those?
You called already. Let me
Yeah,
talk to the judge,
Miss Miller.
okay? Please.
Miss Miller.
I was quiet all that.
I respect it.
Please.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, thank you. This is a receipt for the people in Italy. This is the Federal Express, which I got it from the Federal Express right here.
Okay.
This right here, the letter she signed me, where it says authorize my father and I to locate this person. This is the list with all the people that the family.
No. I don't want to see that. All I want to see is the money
right here.
that you spent.
Okay.
Just a minute. You speak Italian and read Italian?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please translate that for me?
I'll do the best I can. It's not perfect.
How do I know this wasn't typed up yesterday?
Just a second. Listen, Miss Miller, I asked him to do me a favor and to please translate it for me.
Yes, ma'am.
The below written received the sum in U.S. dollars of $5,000 from used for.
You want to help you?
Used to locate the person indicated
below.
Yeah. I mean, I don't read Italian, but you can.
More or less, you understand?
Yeah.
Mr. Nicoletti.
Yes.
Is what you're suggesting, sir, that I believe that you sent her entire $5,000 to somebody in Italy?
Apparently, I'll tell you the way we sent the money to Italy. My father used to work for the government for 40 years. He used to be an attorney, worked for the government.
No, just listen to my question, sir. Do you expect me to believe that you sent the entire $5,000 to somebody in Italy? That's either a yes or a no.
You're the judge. I think you make a decision. I think you believe.
Very good. Then I'll be the judge and I'll make the decision. You gave her this list, sir. Is that correct? Is this the exhibit that you gave to her?
My
Show it
father's
to him.
name is spelled wrong.
Am I speaking to you?
I never give it to her, this one here, Your Honor.
Where did that list come from, Miss Miller?
It came directly from him after the 5th time of requesting. I came back to him September 9th and said, why is my father's name spelled wrong? And he says, my son wrote it.
Your Honor, you look at the writing. This is my writing right here.
Let me see it, sir.
This is my writing.
Let me see it.
This is my...
Okay, I'm good. No. You had this piece of paper, sir, in your packet of papers.
No, I don't have it, ma'am.
You don't have this
No,
piece
I don't have it. You want to
this
check? I
packet
don't
of
have
paper?
it. No, ma'am. I don't have it.
Where did you get this from?
Directly from him at our company.
Hey, why would she have this? She wouldn't have this.
I came back to him upset.
She wouldn't have prepared
it wasn't
this.
valid.
But why should I give it all the items, what they
Because
spent,
that's what I
which
kept
I don't
asking
know?
for.
Hey, Miss Miller.
Excuse me, you
Miss
want to
Miller.
just calm down?
Mr.
I'm
Nicoletti,
listening.
do I look like I'm in charge?
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Miss Miller, if you speak to him again, I'm going to dismiss your lawsuit.
I understand.
That would be very unhappy for you.
Very unhappy for me.
You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Nicoletti,
Yes.
there is no question in my mind that you prepared this.
No, ma'am.
You or someone, or your wife, or your brother, or your father, or somebody else prepared this, because there would be no reason for her to have any of this information on here. The phone, USA phones, 450, police cap, Italy, Napoli, officer something, police, Italy, Napoli, City Hall, persons, 2, Napoli, $1,200, gas and transportation, $250, expenses, $450.
Hold it.
She
Your
didn't
Honor.
make this up.
Hold the Honor. When I was talking on the phone, I just remember my son. He was on the phone with my father and tell him the money was spending. He wrote that piece of paper, my son. My son.
Sir, you brought in phone bill.
Yes.
The phone bill, including Western Union, was $196.32. You wrote here $450.
I tell you, because when my father called Italy, he left a message to the letter he wrote. He never was to his office, so he returned a phone call to my father to let him know what the situation was. For this reason, the bill was $3, $4, man. And he charged my father the phone bill when he received in Italy.
Well, then it's your responsibility, sir, to have gotten those phone bills from him.
You Honor,
Listen to me carefully, sir. The only phone bills you have, this is what you've given me in response to my question. You've given me this piece of paper, which I do not believe.
Why? That's a DHL. That's legal. You own it with the envelopes.
Sir, I believe the DHL, and I believe the receipt. I don't believe that you sent $5,000 to Italy.
Really?
Really. I believe that you have a Western Union here where you sent the total amount charged was $172 that included a $22 service charge.
Correct.
Right. And what else did you bring me? Nothing. Those are the two expenses that you have. $172 and $196.32. Now, you have to understand, Ms. Miller, it is very, very possible that there were people in Italy who were not as friendly as the defendant and who didn't like you or didn't feel as if they wanted to help you but wanted to be compensated for what they'd been doing.
Understandable.
You understand that. And clearly there were phone calls that were made from Italy to the United States with information. Now, they talked for here 12 minutes, 10 minutes, not a lot of money. $1.07, gee, it's cheap to call Italy. Let's give this gentleman the benefit of the doubt that the money that was spent from the other end on the telephone was $250. Right?
There.
Now, somebody had to go to a police station. Somebody had to go and find out what he was convicted of, this person who turned out not to be your father,
right?
Where he was. All of that takes time.
Sure.
Right? Who is this person, Mr.
He's in the police department for almost 30 years in Italy.
Is he still in the police department?
Yes, Your Honor. You know, in Italy, when you want looking for someone, you have to be careful because they don't know who they deal with sometimes. You know, they have to follow a person, they have to see who, you know.
Let's understand each other. The easiest thing in the world, if your father knows somebody who's in the police department, and Italy is not a backward country, they all have computers, the same kind of computers that we have here in the United States. The first thing that you would do to look for somebody is to put their name and date of birth in a computer. And that's what your friend did. And it came up with this name in this prison. That's convicted such and such a date, currently serving a sentence of. You know how long that took? As long as it took me to say it. Let's say it was worth $500. All told, that's $893. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,107. That's all.